What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
12MT. Chapter 406 I will, and you will too. I won't, and you will too. Advertisement. This kind of combined destructive power is simply terrifying to ultimate. It seems that it did not cause too much damage to the ninja world, but in fact, the absolute damage is far higher than Tail Beast Bomb, Susanoo's sword. So hot. After one blow, the pupils of Sage of Six Paths shrank, and the body took a few steps back uncontrollably. At the same time, he looked down at his arm, and found that most of his arm was already as coke, which looked shocking. Although he is no longer a Ten Tails Jinchuriki, he still has the body of Six Paths. Aside from ignoring the characteristics of all conventional ninjutsu of yin-yang and five elements, his Six Paths body itself has extremely terrifying defensive power. 557. To shake his body requires an extremely powerful attack. In addition, his body has an incredible recovery ability. This kind of resilience completely surpasses the level of Senju Hashirama's self-healing wounds without the need for seals, and is even above ninja art, meiotic regeneration developed by Tsunade. Even if the internal organs of the body are shattered or the arms are severed, they can all be restored in an instant. This recovery ability is already equivalent to regeneration. As it is now, although half of his arm was scorched by Luo Hao's Six Paths Fire style, it recovered in a flash. Is he alright? And the Six Paths Fire style didn't even go off. After the arm recovered as before, Sage of Six Paths looked up at Luo Hao. It was discovered that after the confrontation just now, Luo Hao's arm was unscathed. Even the Six Paths lightning style in his palm disappeared, while the Six Paths fire style in Luo Hao's palm was still burning endlessly. You attacked twice, then it's up to me. As soon as Luo Hao's words came out, Sage of Six Paths immediately put on a picture as if it was facing a formidable enemy. Advertisement. At the same time as his voice fell, others had already arrived in front of the Sage of Six Paths. The flames that had been entrenched in the palm of his hand had disappeared, replaced by a long sword completely made of flames. Six Paths Fire Style Haoyan Sword. A sword fell, and the space was burned out with distortions and wrinkles visible to the naked eye. It's as if it's going to be burned through at any time. Seeing this, Sage of Six Paths dare not neglect. Immediately raise the immortal tin staff in your left hand to block the oncoming Six Paths Fire Style Haoyan Sword. Puff. There was no deafening bang in the confrontation between the immortal tin staff and the Six Paths Fire Style Haoyan Sword, but only the sound of matter being burned. After the immortal tin rod transformed from the truth-seeking ball was slashed by Luo Hao's Six Paths Fire Style Haoyan Sword, it melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. Horrible. Even the fairy tin staff transformed by the truth-seeking ball cannot withstand the burning of this fire style. Sage of Six Paths stares. Thunder and lightning suddenly burst out from the immortal tin staff. After bursts of fairy sticks entangled with lightning, the fairy sticks that had melted quickly stabilized quickly, and then under the control of the immortals in this way, they returned to their original state in an instant. A combination of truth-seeking ball and Six Paths thunder. This method is really amazing. Luo Hao is getting more and more appreciative of Sage of Six Paths. To play chakra to this extent, really is the only Six Paths brothers. As for Kagaya Haim, forget it. At best a chakra master. And the Sage of Six Paths in front of him is the great master of chakra. Advertisement. The two are completely different. It can be said that if Kagaya-ji hadn't eaten the chakra fruit, there would be no comparison with Sage of Six Paths at all. I will, and you will too. Even you use it better than me. And I won't, you still will. After all, I am still not as good as you. Although it was just a fleeting fight, it has already convinced Sage of Six Paths. 0. He could feel that Luo Hao had never overwhelmed others with his experience so far. It is exactly how much power he uses, the opponent uses as much as he uses. But it is obviously an equal force, but after the fight, he was restrained everywhere, and he was suppressed very miserably. The warm-up is almost over. Although your performance surprised me quite a bit, but it was not enough. If you can't show something more proud, not only will you die, but Kagaya Haim who is learning Sage Mode will also die when she is teaching Kagaya Haim Otsutsuki you of Sage Mode. Six Paths. Eyelids twitched as the killing spewed out. This flat, not strong but very pure murderous intent made Sage of Six Paths very clear that Tenon in front of him was definitely not joking. If your performance can't be 0.4 to keep the other party surprised and unable to please the other party, then what Luo Hao said just now is no longer a sentence, but will become a fact. In this regard, Sage of Six Paths, who has long been familiar with the terrifying strength of the Tenon in front of him, will not have the slightest doubt. It's been pushed to this point at the very beginning. The gap between me and him is far beyond my imagination. After Sage of Six Paths sighed inwardly, a pair of Rinnegan burst out with terrifying light. Immediately afterwards, the white clothes on his body had disappeared. It was replaced by a stunning Six Paths fairy robe. Advertisement. Chapter 407 The Second Moon. Sage Art Planetary Devastation. Advertisement. Stunning golden fairy robe. 9 truth-seeking balls are suspended behind. Such a cool appearance tells everyone. This Sage Mode named after Sage of Six Paths is here. Six Paths Sage Mode. After entering this posture, the Sage of Six Paths is completely different from before. Ordinary Sage Mode can make a ninja's strength explode. The overall strength has been increased several times at least. Not to mention Six Paths Sage Mode. This is a powerful stance that allowed Uzumaki Naruto to leap to the point where he can compete with Six Paths Madara in one go. And the Six Paths Sage mode performed by Otsutsuki Yuya, who is Sage of Six Paths himself, is far above Uzumaki Naruto's Six Paths Sage mode. After all, one is the creator and the other is the given. There is no comparison between the two. 30. Sage Art Truth-Seeking Ball. Sage of Six Paths sighed inwardly, a truth-seeking ball shot from behind to his right hand, and instantly turned into a black stick. Truth-Seeking Ball. Six Paths Sage mode. When the two are superimposed, the power is instantly increased by more than 10 times. Originally, it could only compete with Luo Hao's Haoyan sword. See now that Sage of Six Paths has used the Sage Art Truth-Seeking Ball to transform the Immortal Black Stick and Immortal Tin Staff into obliterating the Haoyan sword that is close at hand. Immediately afterwards, the Immortal Black Stick and Immortal Tin Staff stabbed at Luo Hao with the power of devouring yin-yang and 5 elements. Sheila. Facing the Immortal Tin Stick and Black Stick of Sage of Six Paths, Luo Hao did not dodge or dodge, and directly raised his hand to grab it. He actually grabbed the oncoming tin rod and black stick with his bare hands. Advertisement. How strong is his body? Sage of Six Paths. Pupils shrank. Before he could attack again, Luo Hao had already raised his left hand, pointing one finger at the Sage of Six Paths. Six Paths Lei Fire Style Yan Lei. Bang! With a burst of thunder and rumble that resounded through the land of fire, a slender flame and thunder light had already cut off the black stick and tin staff of Sage of Six Paths, and then ignored the protection of the golden magic chakra fairy robe on Sage of Six Paths killed him directly. Not good. Sage of Six Paths. Expression changed drastically. Facing this kind of Six Paths level compound ninjutsu, even he didn't dare to use his body to force it. But Luo Hao's attack was so fast and fierce, even if he was in a hurry, he couldn't completely dodge it. In the blink of an eye, he could only turn sideways like lightning, avoiding the end of his head being cut off, and half of his shoulder was cut off on the spot. This is the real Six Paths level, and it is also a battle at the top level of the Six Paths level. Even if Luo Hao only used the same level of power as Sage of Six Paths, it was still extremely ferocious. Live and die in an instant. Simply confront each other. If you don't deal with it properly, you will either die or be disabled. After I entered Six Paths Sage mode, he also increased his power. But he still didn't use the power of fairy art. In other words, Tenon is still using the normal chakra to fight me. This gap is really too big. I'm in Sage mode, he fights me normally and still beats me. I really don't know what kind of posture he has when he fully unleashes his strength. Thinking of this, Sage of Six Paths couldn't help but gasp. It's just that Luo Hao's strength is as vast and boundless as the vast starry sky under normal conditions, making it impossible to fathom. What about Luo Hao in Sage mode? Advertisement. What about Luo Hao after his full strength? These make Sage of Six Paths unimaginable. It's not over yet. After one blow severed the shoulder of Sage of Six Paths, more vicious attacks followed. After Luo Hao's index finger burst into flames, his other 4 fingers also burst into flames. Sage of Six Paths, who suffered from this trick, was cautious and did not dare to be careless. Sage Art Shenluo Tianzheng. I saw Sage of Six Paths holding one hand, with his body as the center, overwhelming repulsion swept wildly. Sidao Yanlei, who had been rushing forward with the momentum of capitalism and deception, encountered repulsive resistance. Although the momentum was still fierce, the speed was much slower. At least he won the opportunity to fight back. Sage Art Planetary Devastation. Sage of Six Paths waved the arm that had just grown back, and slapped Luo Hao from the air. 080. The endless gravitational force emanates directly from Luo Hao's body. It not only pulled Luo Hao, but also crazily pulled up countless huge rocks and mountains from the ninja world. In no time, a giant moon has been created by the Sage of Six Paths. And the center of the moon is Luo Hao, who is sealed by the planetary devastation. Is that useful? Sage of Six Paths took a breath with lingering fear, and then looked towards the sky. Sage Art Planetary Devastation. The sealing ability is second only to the Six Paths planetary devastation he created for Kagaya Heim. But whether this trick can seal Luo Hao, he really can't guarantee it. He only hoped that this trick could hold Luo Hao temporarily and buy Kagaya G precious time to learn Sage mode. Click. Just when the idea of delaying time came to Sage of Six Paths' mind, the sound of glass breaking suddenly resounded. Immediately afterwards, a faint white light burst out from the inside of the rock sphere like a Buddha's blade. In an instant, the rock sphere comparable in size to the moon has been split into 2. Advertisement. Chapter 408. The name of Sage of Six Paths. I approve. Advertisement. It didn't work at all. Sage of Six Paths saw Luo Hao walk out of the planetary devastation unscathed. Although he was prepared in his heart, when he saw this scene happening, he still sighed secretly. 1 second. Sage Art Planetary Devastation can't even block Luo Hao for a second. It was cut off by Luo Hao almost as soon as it took shape. Change me. Luo Hao took a step forward, and he was already in front of Sage of Six Paths, and kicked towards Sage of Six Paths. It's not an ordinary gymnastics. Sage of Six Paths pupil constriction. At this moment, the black stick and the tin stick turned into huge shields at the same time. When Luo Hao's foot touched the shield that was transformed from the black rod and tin rod containing the magic chakra, a terrifying force that was hot enough to melt everything broke out brazenly. Six Paths Fire Style. No. A fusion of fire style and wind style. Wait. No, this is lava style. It's just unbelievable. On the basis of lava style, yin-yang and 5 elements are integrated again. What monstrous chakra control is required to do this? Sage of 6 Paths, eyes widened. Under his solemn Rinnegan gaze, the shield made of black rod and tin staff vaporized on the spot. It was like encountering magma by ice and snow, and was evaporated instantly. He had never thought of such a thing, let alone seen it. Let me show you something more interesting. Advertisement. After Luo Hao saw the shocked and disbelieving expression on Sage of 6 Paths' face, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. After he kicks Sage of 6 Paths' shield, left 1. A translucent white cube instantly opens. Lock the Sage of 6 Paths inside in a blink of an eye. 6 Paths dust escape. Sage of 6 Paths is shaking. He can only integrate the chakra of a single nature transformation into the yin-yang 5 elements. For example, lightning style and fire style are transformed into 6 Paths lightning style and fire style after being integrated with yin-yang and 5 elements. But a higher level of lava style can be integrated into yin-yang and 5 elements, and turned into 6 Paths lava style. Even if he is now, he can't do it. But the Tianren in front of him not only did it, but also went a step further on the basis of lava style. Even the dust dungeon can be integrated into the yin-yang and 5 elements and turned into 6 Paths dust dungeon. Ordinary dust escape naturally cannot shake the 6 Paths body of Sage of 6 Paths, but once the 6 Paths dust escape that Luo Hao is using now is implemented, even if it is stronger than Sage of 6 Paths, it will undoubtedly die. Without any hesitation, the vast Rinnegan pupil power explodes. The Sage of 6 Paths, which was originally locked in the 6 Paths dust dungeon, disappeared instantly. Only one rock was left in place, and he himself fell to the ground below Otsutsuki Hamura and Kagaya. God's hand. It seems that Uchiha Sasuke's pupil technique after opening Rinnegan is not his exclusive pupil technique, but the pupil technique of Sage of 6 Paths. While granting Sasuke Lugoyu Rinnegan, he also bestowed the power of heaven on the other side. After seeing the escape of Sage of 6 Paths, Luo Hao was also surprised, not to mention disappointed. He directly dispersed dust dun, then dodged to catch up with Sage of 6 Paths, and stretched out his hand to wipe it. The temperature in the surrounding space dropped at an unimaginable speed. Reached a point close to absolute zero. Click. 6 Paths. Ice escape. Advertisement. Before Sage of 6 Paths could make any movements, the whole body was frozen. Not only him, but even the ground under his feet, the air around him, and even the space he was in were all frozen. Quote exclamation mark quote. Seeing this scene, Otsutsuki Hamura's expression changed drastically. With his white eyes, he can see clearly. Sage of 6 Paths has encountered a huge crisis at this time. Although the destructive power of the 6 Paths ice escape is far less than that of the 6 Paths dust escape, each nature transformation's escape has its own unique power. Just like wood style is just a blood succession limit, but in the hands of Senju Hashirama, it can beat the world's invincible opponents, and any blood cell elimination can be rubbed on the ground. Backquote even the space is frozen. This is simply unbelievable. In this case, Big Brother's heavenly hand power cannot be used at all. Otsutsuki Hamura saw clearly after opening his eyes. After being frozen, Sage of 6 Paths has been using Rinnegan's pupil art, Heaven's hand power, but this powerful space-time pupil art has failed. The layer of 6 Paths ice escape power covering the body of Sage of 6 Paths can actually block the movement of the sky's hand power. You really brought a lot of surprises. No, Li Wangs, as worthy of being a celestial being who has mastered the truth of chakra. The name of the Sage of 6 Paths. I approve, Luo Hao said while opening his right hand. The familiar white cube has reappeared, completely covered by the frozen Sage of 6 Paths. 6 Paths dust escape original realm stripping technique. Unable to dodge using sky power, and covered by 6 Paths dust escape. Sage of 6 Paths is no longer possible to dodge and avoid. If he can't resist this move, 6 Paths dust done, even if he crosses the boundary between life and death, he will die on the spot. Leave me alone, save Yuijun. Kagaya Ji said to Otsutsuki Hamura, then put aside the matter of learning sage mode, and rushed towards Luo Hao. Advertisement. Chapter 409 Shinigami Tree. Beast, how dare you betray your father? Advertisement. In my mother's heart, my big brother and I are obviously more important. When big brother is in danger, she would rather give up learning sage mode to save him. And when the big brother chose to sacrifice himself just now, she also stopped it. What we did, was it right? Otsutsuki Hamura watched Kagaya Ji give up sage mode without hesitation and decisively save Sage of 6 Paths, and his heart was strongly touched. Back then, they felt that their mother was wrong, that they had become cruel. To actually mercilessly kill all humans in the ninja world for his own selfish desires. So they chose to stand opposite Kagaya Haim. But now, the two decisions that Kagaya Ji made almost without thinking made him feel a kind of long-lost family affection. This kind of maternal love from the heart without any impurities made Otsutsuki Hamura feel guilty, but at the same time, he couldn't help but reflect in his heart whether his decision to seal Kagaya Ji together with Sage of 6 Paths was right or wrong. No matter how cruel Kagaya Ji's means are, no matter what Kagaya Ji's original intention is, but one thing remains the same. That is, Kagaya Ji really regards them as her own, as the most important flesh and blood. Tailed Beast Bomb. Just when Kagayaji and Otsutsuki Hamura rushed towards Luohao one after the other, trying to prevent Luohao from killing Sage of Six Paths, the ground under the feet of Sage of Six Paths suddenly cracked. A sudden crack in the ground slammed into the Sage of Six Paths frozen into ice sculptures. At the same time, a large amount of ink suddenly spewed out from under Luohao's feet, surrounding his body. Tailed Beast Bomb. Immediately afterwards, two gigantic Tailed Beast Bombs suddenly bombarded from a distance at a frightening speed, bombarding Luohao violently. Advertisement. 2 tails, 8 tails, 9 tails. Namikaze Minato and others who were watching the battle in the distance suddenly turned around and stared at the 3-tailed beasts that moved quietly into the distance. They didn't expect that the tailed beasts who had behaved like pets since they were tamed by Luohao actually rebelled. And looking at their series of actions, it is obvious that they have premeditated. Seeing the 3-tailed beasts launch a series of sneak attacks, although Hitaki Tsukumo and others know that even if this attack is completely hit on the defenseless Luohao, it will not cause any damage, but as Luohao's subordinates, they naturally do not may be indifferent. But they are fast, someone is faster than them. Before Namikaze Minato, Hitaki Tsukumo and others took action to intercept the tailed beast bomb and concocted the 3-tailed beasts, 9 tails, one was bigger than a mountain, and the palm that could easily hold the tailed beast had fallen from the sky. This palm was like pinching a balloon, and it easily caught the 2-tailed beast bombs that were blasting towards Luohao. The 2-tailed beast bombs that could easily destroy a ninja village were crushed by this palm on the spot without even a chance to explode. Shinigami Tree. Hitaki Tsukumo looked along the huge palm. It was discovered that the person who intercepted the tailed beast bomb was the 10-tailed Shinigami Tree created by Luohao. Brute. Father's willingness to take you in is already a gift from him to you, and it is also a great blessing for you. It's fine if you don't want to repay your father, but you dare to rebel against your father. Do you really think that you can be unscrupulous because you are a tailed beast? Let alone father, even I can kill a tailed beast. Advertisement. Shinigami Tree looked down at the 3-tailed beasts, which were no bigger than her heels, and the cold and stern voice echoed in the void, causing ripples visible to the naked eye. Tien Ren took us in and didn't treat us as aliens, we are very grateful. If possible, we would also like to stay with Konoha, and stay by Tien Ren's side to work for him. Erwei looked at the Shinigami Tree, although there was a touch of fear on his face, but he didn't back down. From the moment she decided to do this, she had prepared for the worst outcome. That is the world's second-tailed Matabi. Now that she is ready to be smashed to pieces and completely wiped out from the ninja world, she will naturally not be discouraged by the Shinigami Tree. We were all created by Old Man Six Paths. We have to repay the grace of good fortune. You are also a tail beast, and you were also created by Tianren, so you should understand our feelings best. 8-tails Gyuki took a deep breath and gazed up at the unattainable Shinigami Tree. Shinigami Tree, if one day Tenon leaves you in the ninja world, and you meet new friends. But after thousands of years, Tianren returned, but you found out that this friend was going to kill Tianren, what would you do? 9-tails stared at the Shinigami Tree and asked word by word. My life, even everything is created by my father. My father could have not endowed me with wisdom and emotion, and let me be at the mercy of others like that 10-tails God Tree, but he didn't. He created me, gave me life, wisdom, emotion. No matter how many years have passed, no matter who the other party is, no matter what the reason is, if he dares to make his father an enemy, then I will kill him. Shinigami Tree was silent for a while before speaking. Advertisement. Chapter 410 9-tails. My Kurama is about to dance. Advertisement. Faced with 9-tails questioning, Shinigami Shu, who originally wanted to kill the 3-tailed beasts in front of her with thunder, paused slightly. Instead of doing it immediately, she began to think seriously. After all, although she is also 10 tails, she is different from Kagayaji's sacred tree. Instead, she is more similar to 9-tailed beasts. Intelligent, emotional, independent and living beings. Although her birth time is not as long as that of the 9-tailed beasts, and her experience is not as good as that of the 9-tailed beasts, her wisdom is even better than that. Originally, she hated the betrayal of these tail beasts like 9-tails. I can't wait to skin these 3-tailed beasts alive on the spot. But after hearing the words of Erwei, 8-tails, and 9-tails, the hatred and anger in her heart gradually dissipated. Same tailed beast. Similar experiences and situations make it easier for the Shinigami Tree to empathize. But although she can understand the choice of the 3-tailed beasts, it doesn't mean that she will be indifferent, and it doesn't mean that she can accept the betrayal of the 3-tailed beasts. As she just said, anyone who betrays Tenon is her enemy. Whoever, for whatever reason, anytime, as long as you are an enemy of Tianren, there is only one end. 36. It is also true, although Shinigami Tree is not slowly hating 9-tails, 8-tails, and 2-tails in her heart, but the murderous intent entrenched in her is extremely pure. I can understand your choice. 6 Paths created you. But I cannot accept your betrayal. Since you have made the choice to betray, then bear the price of betraying your father. The voice of the Shinigami Tree is getting colder. Obviously she didn't do anything, just a voice exuding pure murderous intent, but it already caused 9-tails, 8-tails, 2-tails and 3-tails to feel an unprecedented sense of crisis in their hearts. Advertisement. That sense of crisis made the 3-tailed beasts feel as if they were facing a formidable enemy, but at the same time, they also felt that they were being oppressed by a piece of land, and it was extremely difficult to even take a breath. This is how it feels to be infinitely close to death. At this moment, the 3 big-tailed beasts all had an idea at the same time. Nine Tails, you are the strongest of the three of us. I will. Eight Tails will give you a chance. Erwei took a deep look at Nine Tails. Perhaps, this is the most united time for their tailed beasts. It is also the last time that the tailed beasts will fight side by side. TCH, although I really want to say don't die, but I really can't say it. However, there is one thing you can rest assured about. After you hang up, I will come to see you right away. Nine Tails turned her head a little arrogantly, then glanced at the direction of the Sage of Six Paths swallowed by the crack, and thought to herself. Old man Six Paths, we can't wait for the person you mentioned to guide us. But it doesn't matter anymore. For us tailed beasts, the person who guides us actually existed a long time ago. He is you. If our tailed beasts really want to cooperate with humans and fight for humans, apart from Tenon, it can only be for you. Since the death of Sage of Six Paths, the relationship with humans for thousands of years, regardless of killing, fighting, being sealed, and enslaved, has already made the relationship between the nine-tailed beasts and humans extremely bad. Even Eight Tails and Erwei are only friendly with their Jinchuriki. In fact, they are also extremely indifferent to other cloud shinobi other than Jinchuriki. Don't care about the other party's death at all. And even more so with other tailed beasts, especially the Nine Tails, the collection of so-called hate. 0 for flowers. For humans, all he has is hatred. Apart from Six Paths, the only one who can convince him is Tianren Luo Hao. Advertisement. But fate is such a good fortune. Tenon versus Six Paths. This led to their nine-tailed beasts having to make a choice. On one side is the only recognized human in millennia. One side is to create your own Six Paths. Either way, a choice must be made. Finally, the grace of good fortune is greater than everything. At the very least, they must stand by Six Paths before repaying this favor. This is the first time I've fought for human beings, and it's probably the last time. A flash of determination flashed in Nine Tails' eyes. Immediately afterwards, he raised his hands and made a seal suddenly. During Setsuna, his body surface has been shrouded in a layer of bright golden light. This scene told everyone, Hikarama is going to dance. What? Nara Luju looked at Nine Tails in surprise. Isn't Nine Tails' chakra full of hate, utterly evil, ominous? How did it suddenly become so pure and thorough? Namikaze Minato's eyes widened in surprise. Nine Tails has been living in Uzumaki Kushina all these years. He is very familiar with Nine Tails, the head of the nine-tailed beasts. Interesting. He let go of the hatred in his heart. Or, something in his heart is stronger than hatred, so that there is no hatred in his heart at this moment. So his chakra became extremely pure, as if he had been purified. Ant Snake looked at the Nine Tails mountain, which was shining with golden light and covered with a layer of golden chakra-like clothing, with great interest. Advertisement. Chapter 411 Shinigami Tree. Ants shaking the tree, overreaching. Advertisement. Nine Tails U. Eight Tails looked at Nine Tails in shock. As the existence second only to Nine Tails among the nine-tailed beasts, he naturally knows what is going on with Nine Tails. It's the hatred, it's the resentment that has been eliminated. Or rather not eliminated, but at this moment, what Nine Tails has in his heart is not hatred and resentment. Slap yourself. Said that the hatred in my heart will never go away. Erwei Matabi teased. My uncle is about to go to hell with the two of you soon. Still hate A. Nine Tails felt a little embarrassed in her heart, but on the surface she raised her head arrogantly. For the sake of being a tailed beast. 103, the only thing I can do is to give you the only chance to dance before the end of your life. Let's do it. There is only one chance. This is the last dance of you beasts. Shinigami Tree without hands. At this moment, she fully told the three-tailed beasts. What is genetics? There is a Shinigami Tree as long as there is a creator. As the creator of the Shinigami Tree, Tenon Luo Hao loves pretend. Turns out Shinigami Trees too. Since the Shinigami Tree has said so, we can't be looked down upon. Erwei said in a deep voice. Everyone is a created tailed beast. Although chakra is not in the same class, you can't be underestimated. The corners of Eight Tails' lips are slightly raised. Advertisement. He is different from the Tsunere Nine Tails. In fact, after Six Paths passed away, he suggested to the other tail beasts to live with each other, which would be a good way to take care of them. It's a pity that the nine-tailed beasts are endowed with too much wisdom by the Sage of Six Paths, and each of them has a very weird and unique personality. Bickering, quarreling, and even thousand fights are commonplace when you move. After all, when Sage of Six Paths left, their nine-tailed beasts were equivalent to nine bear children. It would be strange if they didn't quarrel with each other, and if they didn't fight. In the end, the nine-tailed beasts didn't say they had a falling out, but they have been alone since then, and they were defeated one by one, and sealed up one by one by the ninjas of the major ninja villages in the ninja world. Although there are only 3 of the nine-tailed beasts left now, seeing the unity and fighting side by side that had no chance in the past, it actually appeared now. Although it is possible that after appearing, it will end, but it also makes Eight Tails quite enjoy the feeling of fighting side by side. After all, for Eight Tails, the other eight-tailed beasts are equivalent to relatives. Fire-style rat tail ball jade. Ink seal. Erwei and Eight Tails look at each other. One casts a sealing technique, and the other casts a blockade. In an instant, a large cloud of ink swept towards the Shinigami tree. At the same time, huge spheres of chakra floated around the Shinigami tree, trying to bombard her huge body. You only get one chance. Nine Tails maintains the posture of not seal. He knows that this is the only chance. Even though he knew it, the end result would be defeat. But both of them are tailed beasts. The arrogant him decided to show the demeanor of the 9-tailed beasts before he died. Anyway, leave a little thought for the Shinigami tree to let it know that we tailed beasts created by the Sage of Six Paths are not to be underestimated. Drink. I saw Nine Tails let out a low cry. He was squatting on the ground and stood on both feet like a human being. Immediately afterwards, 2 fox heads extended out from both sides of his head, and 4 arms were extended from his hands holding the seal. 3 heads and 6 arms. With no more hatred in his heart, after chakra became extremely pure, he directly entered the posture of 3 heads and 6 arms. Tailed Beast Bomb. Advertisement. When Nine Tails entered this posture, his 3 heads opened their mouths wide at the same time, and 3 black and purple tailed beast bombs exuding palpitations formed in an instant. Call out. In the next second, he crossed the void at a frightening speed and reached the top of the Shinigami tree. Bang. The ink seal of 8 tails. 2-tailed rat tail ball jade. And the 3-tailed beast bombs cast by 9 tails in the 3-headed and 6-armed posture exploded at the same time. 0. It turned into a chakra light ball soaring into the sky, completely devouring the huge body of the Shinigami tree. Are you actually taking our attack directly? Erwei squinted his eyes. Originally, she thought that the Shinigami tree would intercept it. Unexpectedly, no matter whether she, 8 tails, or even 9 tails technique, the Shinigami tree would not be able to resist, allowing their tails to fall on her body. Although she is very strong, she should have some effect, right? The tone of 8 tails is a bit uncertain. 9 tails didn't speak, but quietly watched the dissipating ball of light and the thick smoke covering the sky. When the line of sight in front of them became clear again, the Shinigami tree that covered the sky and the sun once again entered their eyes. Unscathed. 5.1 inches. Erwei opened his mouth and squeezed out such a sentence with great difficulty. Is that the difference? Even if we stand still and let us attack, there is no way to shake her. 8 tails only felt extremely bitter in his heart. What a huge gap this is. Isn't it even of any use? Although 9 tails had been mentally prepared for a long time, when he saw this scene, he still couldn't help sighing. The mayfly shakes the tree, beyond its control. The Shinigami tree looks down on the 3-tailed beasts condescendingly. For the joint attack of the 3-tailed beasts, she gave such an evaluation. Advertisement. Chapter 412 Tailed Beasts. Can be killed. Advertisement. I've given you the chance to dance. Now, you should also pay for your choice to betray your father. The moment the indifferent voice of the Shinigami tree reverberated in the void, the murderous intent that was so horrifying that the surrounding air oscillated in circles of ripples erupted outrageously, covering 9 tails, 2 tails, and 8 tails. Coming. Feeling this terrifying murderous intent, 9 tails and their 3-tailed beasts were so shocked that goosebumps all over their bodies. Obviously the Shinigami tree didn't do anything, but the breath of death has swept over, making 9 tails restless. Put like a death row prisoner waiting to be executed in prison. Can't do anything, can only wait anxiously to be escorted to the execution ground, and then be cut off by the executioner with that desperate knife. Bang. The earth-shattering jutsu that 9 tails and the others had expected did not appear. Facing 30-tailed beasts, Shinigami tree did not perform any ninjutsu at all, but just raised his hand and slapped them down. The 3-tailed beasts produced a feeling of powerlessness and despair before Mount Tai collapsed. Facing the incomparably huge palm of the Shinigami tree, they tried to dodge and use the tailed beast bomb attack, but no matter what they did, after the palm of the Shinigami tree was slapped down, the 3 big-tailed beasts could only let out a scream and were all crushed into the ground. Ruined. Old man 6 paths, what we owe you is paid off. Don't be killed by Tianren, or the 3 of us will die in vain. Seeing that after the 4 complaints, they just slapped themselves and the others into a near-death situation, they felt extremely desperate in their hearts. In fact, they never thought they could defeat Tenon. After all, they can't pass the Shinigami tree level. Not to mention that Konohagakure's group of high-level officials were also endowed with many blood successors by Luo Hao, and anyone who jumped out could suppress the 9-tailed beasts. Advertisement. All they did was save 6 paths. And being picked up by the Shinigami tree is just the price to pay after Sage of 6 paths. Tail beast. So it is also mortal. Being slapped into the ground by the Shinigami tree, 9 tails, who was powerless to resist, had an idea in his heart. In the past, tailed beasts would die too. But when you die, you will come back to life. So it's not really dead. But this time, facing the Shinigami tree, whether it was 9 tails, 8 tails, or Erwei, they all had an idea in their hearts. The tailed beast may be dead, and this time the death is real death. If it is not for me, it is the kind that will never be reborn. You are part of the divine tree. Although you can't recreate the chakra fruit if you recover it, it's still useful to think about it. After my father collects the chakra fruit of the sacred tree and Keigaiji, the chakra that you 3-tailed beasts have can just complement the chakra fruit of the sacred tree. Shinigami tree glanced at the 3-tailed beasts, and then snapped with 5 fingers. Like a black hole, a terrifying black light that swallows all light bursts out from the palm, completely surrounding the 3 big-tailed beasts. Ruined. The 3-tailed beasts shrouded in black light only felt that their thoughts began to dissipate, as if they were being deprived and erased. This feeling let 9 tails know that their tailed beasts are going through a horrible process of being absorbed by Gedo statue. That is the wisdom, emotion that the Sage of 6 Paths created them with is being erased by the Shinigami tree. Once their wisdom is gone, they return to the original 10 tails chakra. Advertisement. Without consciousness, you're just 3 regiments of chakra belonging to 10 tails. In this way, you will have no chance to rebel against your father. As soon as the Shinigami tree finished speaking, he spread out his gigantic palm. Hatake Sakumo and others on the side looked around and took a breath. As the burst of black light covering the 3 big-tailed beasts disappeared, the huge bodies of the 3 big-tailed beasts had disappeared. Instead, there are only 1 red, 1 blue and 1 black 3 fruit-shaped light balls suspended in the palm of the Shinigami tree. 9 tails, 8 tails, 2 tails. It seems that they are really dead. Seeing this scene, Hatake Sakumo had such a thought in his heart. 190. The tail beast is dead and can be revived. Because the tailed beast itself is a mass of chakra, the life form is very unique. But now, the consciousnesses of 9 tails, 8 tails, and 2 tails have been directly wiped out, and even their forms have been beaten back to their original form, changing back to the chakra form that was originally separated from 10 tails by Sage of 6 Paths. In this case, these 3-tailed beasts are naturally dead as hell. This method is really ruthless and terrifying. Namikaze Minato took a deep breath. Directly erasing the consciousness of the 3 big-tailed beasts is completely equivalent to completely erasing the 3 big-tailed beasts from the ninja world. This is much worse than being absorbed by Gedo statue. As expected of the Shinigami tree created by Luo Hao. This method is really the same as his retreat. Ant Snake couldn't help sighing when she saw that the Shinigami tree had given the 3-tailed beasts a chance to dance, and immediately wiped them out with thunder. It really is what kind of creator there is what kind of 10 tails. Advertisement. Chapter 413 How many fruits of the sacred tree did he eat? Advertisement. You died. After seeing the Shinigami tree obliterate the consciousness of 9 tails, 8 tails, and 2 tails, Luo Hao looked away. He didn't care about the life and death of the 3-tailed beasts. The road is chosen by oneself. Since you choose to side with Sage of 6 Paths, you die. If he really wanted to, he could create 3 identical and obedient 9 tails, 8 tails, and 2 tails with his thoughts. For the 3-tailed beasts who attacked him in vain to save Sage of 6 Paths, he didn't care about each other's life or death. He didn't even have the thought of taking care of the 3-tailed beast's 9 tails, 8 tails, and 2 tails, so he just handed it over to Shinigami Tree to deal with it. Shinigami Tree intends to punish 9 tails and other beasts with small punishments, but he doesn't care. Shinigami decides to uproot the 3-tailed beasts, and he doesn't care either. The level gap is too big. The 3-tailed beasts are not even qualified to be pets for him. On the other side, the Sage of 6 Paths that fell into the crack and fell to the ground was also caught by Kagayaji opening Wonkwan Hirosaka, and then transferred to the first ball space in the sky. What a tricky ice escape. Kagayaji, who originally wanted to use the truth-seeking ball to directly devour the ice escape, changed slightly. She found that her truth-seeking ball, which can swallow yin-yang and 5 elements, can't help the ice on the surface of Sage of 6 Paths. Mother, this is a product of truth-seeking ball. This ice escape is a fusion of yin and yang and 5 elements, and its power is still above the blood following the snare. Even my big brother and I can only choose one nature transformation among wind, thunder, fire, earth, water, yin, and yang, and then integrate yin and yang and 5 elements to create a product in the same category as truth-seeking ball. But we have to go a step further on this basis, based on nature transformations such as ice and wood, and then integrate yin-yang and 5 elements. Even my big brother can't do it. Advertisement. Only if both of us are in sage mode, we can only get there together. So you simply use the truth-seeking ball can't shake this kind of ice escape by 6 paths, backquote. Otsutsuki Hamura shook his head. Can't even shake the truth-seeking ball. What about inflated truth-seeking ball? Kagaya Haim said while blowing up truth-seeking ball. Mother, with all due respect. Although you are powerful, you have not grasped all the truths of chakra like me and the big brother. So there is a lack of control over chakra. I don't know if your inflated truth-seeking ball can melt Tenen's 6 paths ice escape, but it will definitely kill the big brother. Otsutsuki Hamura was dumbfounded. This moment exposed the biggest gap between Kagaya Haim and the 6 paths brothers. This gap is not only in combat, but also in the use of chakra. It's really hard for Kagaya-ji to do such delicate work as saving lives. At this time, Kagaya-ji is still in the use of chakra, far from reaching the point of controlling chakra. Kagaya-ji's strength is not her own, but because of the fruit of the sacred tree. But the strength of the 6 paths brothers is their own. Even if the body decays, dies of old age, only chakra and the soul are left, they can still survive in the ninja world for thousands of years. And as long as you want, you can cross the cycle of life and death in the ninja world at any time, and be reborn in the ninja world again. All this is what Kagaya Haim cannot do. Even if the chakra and pupil power mastered by Kagaya-ji are higher than the 6 paths brothers, it is still impossible. Advertisement. Isn't that good? Anyway, this traitor betrayed me back then and sealed me up. Killing him now will relieve the hatred in my heart. Kagaya-ji said the most ruthless words, but the worry in the 3 eyes couldn't be concealed. Really, in the hearts of mothers, we are still the most important. Even if we betrayed her and broke her heart. Otsutsuki Hamura felt even more guilty when he heard that although Kagaya-ji kept talking harshly, his tone and demeanor were full of worry. Although the situation between him and Kagaya-ji was already in a state of extreme urgency, but the way of handling it was indeed inappropriate. At least in the view of Otsutsuki Hamura now, apart from armed conflict, other methods could be used to resolve it, and it is completely possible to avoid the situation of armed conflict. What are you still doing stupidly? If you have a way to save Yuya, just say so. Although this is the first ball space, Tianren will also be in the sky. He not only has reincarnation Sharingan, but also a pair. Lise Zhao, I really don't know how many fruits of the sacred tree he ate. After my fruit was planted by the Daisy clan, it took thousands of years to conceive it. How old is he? In my early 20s, there is actually a pair of reincarnation Sharingan, and the pupil power of each reincarnation Sharingan is higher than that of the reincarnation Sharingan on my forehead, which is incredible. Kagaya Ji Yu said, the more horrified the tone. Tian Ren is terrible, she has a deep understanding now. At this time, she finally understood how desperate and helpless those people who faced Luo Hao were. At the same time, I also understood why my son Yuya sacrificed himself to protect her at the beginning. Advertisement. Chapter 414 Compared to Chakra, I really don't think I am inferior to anyone else. Advertisement. It's not that Sage of Six Paths is cowardly, and it's not that he's really that fraternal. I'm afraid that the ninja world will be blown up. Although, he does have concerns in this regard. But what really prompted him to do this was after all too powerful. Witnessing Luo Hao's step-by-step growth into the invincible Tianren, he is too aware of Luo Hao's horror. Sacrifice yourself, at least keep the village and Kagaya Ji safe and sound. But with Luo Hao, it's really a good journey for the whole family. Mother, if you give me time, I can solve this Six Paths Ice escape. But as you said, Tenon also has reincarnation Sharingan, and he will also be in Heaven's Imperial Palace, so he will find it here soon. I don't have time to save my brother. Otsutsuki Hamura said helplessly. Then what to do? Escape with Yuya, Kagaya suggested. After witnessing the horror of Luo Hao, fleeing. This kind of behavior that was completely shameful to him in 713 in the past, but in the eyes of the present, it is not uncommon. Don't look at how righteously she stopped Sage of Six Paths just now, and also smashed the idea of a family of three standing side by side. Seeing that the Sage of Six Paths was cleaned up in a few clicks, and the Six Paths Ice escape that froze the Sage of Six Paths was extremely difficult, she was intimidated again. Unless we escape from the ninja world and wander in the starry sky, otherwise, it doesn't matter what space we go to. What's more, with Tianren's means, if Ishin really wanted to hunt down our mother and son, even if he escaped from the ninja world and went to the starry sky, he might not be able to escape. Otsutsuki Hamura shook his head. If escaping works, he and Sage of Six Paths ran off with Kagaya Haim in the first place. Advertisement. As for protecting the ninja world, forget it. In the ninja world, there is such a terrifying guy as Tenon, even if people from the Otsutsuki clan come in large numbers, in the end it will only become a large-scale gift of heads. It's not going to go. So what are you supposed to do? Kagaya Ji said anxiously. To save Big Brother, the key lies in you, mother. Otsutsuki Hamura said, how can I save? Didn't you say that I hit Yuya with an inflated truth-seeking ball and couldn't save him within minutes, instead I killed him first. How can I save this? Of course Kagaya Ji wants to save. But after she brought the Sage of Six Paths into the original ball space just now, she has tried all means except expanding the truth-seeking ball. That layer freezes the Sage of Six Paths, and the seemingly thin ice seems indestructible. No matter what she does, she can't shake the ice on Sage of Six Paths. Sage mode. Mother, don't underestimate yourself. Although you may not be as good as Tianren, your power is far above me and Big Brother, but you have not mastered all the truths of chakra, so you have not been able to exert all your power. As long as you master Sage mode, you will be a big step closer to me and Big Brother. Sage mode, coupled with the fruit of the sacred tree, should be enough to shake Tenon's ice escape. After all, this is just a small amount of power, used by Tianren to freeze the Big Brother, and Chiron can't continuously send chakra to strengthen the ice escape experience on the Big Brother. Mother, once you have mastered Sage mode, you will definitely be able to wear down the Six Paths Ice escape power on Big Brother without hurting him. Advertisement. As Otsutsuki Hamura spoke, he put his hand on Kagaya Haim. The natural energy swelled like a tide in the first ball space frantically merged into Kagaya Ji. Mother, you have not controlled natural energy before, nor have you mastered the Sage mode of the main sanctuary. So I can't give you Sage mode directly. After all, your power itself is already too huge, making it difficult for you to control. If you add uncontrolled Sage mode on this basis, it is estimated that the power in your body may be out of balance. The only way now is to learn Sage mode before Tenon arrives. Otsutsuki Hamura said, it is good. Since it is the only way, Kagaya Ji is also unambiguous. With the help of Otsutsuki Hamura, she carefully senses, controls the natural energy in her body, and then combines with the power of the fruit of the God tree. Natural energy can not only boost chakra, but also boost ninjutsu, illusion, physical skills, and even pupil surgery itself. This is also the case, so Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura dared to fight Kagaya Ji Gangang with a pair of Rinnegan and a pair of Tensegan. Because they each developed the two strongest Sage modes standing on the top of the ninja world based on the Sage mode of Mount Myoboku. And Kagaya Ji not only doesn't know Sage mode, but she can't even control her own power well. It's no wonder that the two bastards Hamura and Yuya were able to fight hard when they were fighting. They were obviously not as strong as me, but I was restrained everywhere in the battle. This natural energy, this Sage mode is truly terrifying. While Kagaya Ji quickly grasped the natural energy, she also gradually felt the power of Sage mode. This is an ability that the stronger one's own chakra is, the greater the increase after entering Sage mode. After all, the more chakra you have, the more chakra you can control to absorb natural energy and transform into magic. Very unfortunate. Looking at the ninja world, apart from Luo Hao, chakra, Keigaiji really doesn't think she is inferior to anyone else. Advertisement. Chapter 415 Keigaiji, I should be able to receive 2 punches from ninja. Advertisement. Keigaiji took Sage of 6 Paths to escape to the first ball space, and learning Sage mode seems to be a long time, but in fact it is only a matter of tens of seconds. In less than a minute, with the strong talent, the blood of the Otsutsuki family, and the capital endowed by the chakra fruit to Keigaiji. Under Otsutsuki Hamura's hands-on teaching, Keigaiji showed a heaven-defying learning speed. Compared with the Sage of 6 Paths that was exposed to Sage mode back then, it is faster to learn. As expected of a mother. Even my big brother and I can't learn Sage mode faster than him. From the beginning of exposure to natural energy, to mastery, to the integration of Senjutsu chakra, and then to the Sage mode of Mount Myoboku, it is only a minute. Otsutsuki Hamura sighed inwardly while assisting Keigai Haim. The blood of the Otsutsuki family, coupled with the fruit of the sacred tree, is so heaven-defying. Even his package with Sage of 6 Paths is not as good as Keigaiji. Alright, let's talk about further things later. Those 3-tailed beasts couldn't last long at all. The most urgent thing is to save Yuya first. After learning the most basic Sage mode, Keigaiji did not continue to think about it. It's not that she doesn't want to, or that she can't do it, but that time waits for no one. Who knows when Luo Hao will find this place? It is good. Seeing that Keigaiji is always concerned about the safety of Sage of 6 Paths, and not to master the more Sage mode, Otsutsuki Hamura has made a decision in his heart. Advertisement. If they are still alive after the battle with Tenon, no matter what Keigaiji wants to do, she will not choose what she did back then to seal Keigaiji. Even if Sage of 6 Paths did it, he wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't allow it. Sage mode. Keigaiji's eyes were fixed, and she instantly mobilized a huge amount of natural energy to fuse with her own chakra. A chakra transformed into a fairy art chakra. Since then, Keigaiji's own strength has not only increased, but her control over chakra has also increased. Although there is still a long way to go from the level of Luo Hao, Sage of 6 Paths, and Otsutsuki Hamura who grasp all the truths of chakra, the control of chakra is far better than before. Although it is still not as good as Tenon, but if you practice Sage mode to the level of Hamura and Yuya, and then completely retrieve the lost chakra, you should be able to fight against Murin. Feeling the powerful power like a vast starry sky under Sage mode, Keigaiji's eyes flashed a touch of shock, and then, she was a little bit floating. However, due to the beatings she received from Luo Hao just now, she drifted back and forth, but she was just a little bit drifting, and she was not arrogant enough to think that she could be compared to Luo Hao. At most, he felt that he could take a punch or two from Luo Hao. That's right. To be able to receive 1 or 2 punches from Tenon, in the eyes of Keigaiji at this time, is already extremely majestic and powerful. Sage Art Truth-Seeking Ball. Thinking that Luo Hao might come anytime, Keigaiji forcibly suppressed the thought in her heart, and then condensed a truth-seeking ball infused with natural energy. Although there is no change in appearance, the essence of truth-seeking ball has undergone earth-shaking changes. With the super boost of Sage mode, Keigaiji, who had a normal ability to control the truth-seeking ball, has now entered a state of subtlety. Under her control, the truth-seeking ball turned into a giant sphere and enveloped the Sage of 6 Paths. 0 for flowers. Hiss. Advertisement. The truth-seeking ball, which could not shake the ice at all, after Keigaiji entered Sage mode, the moment the truth-seeking ball touched the ice on Sage of 6 Paths, a strong collision occurred. Although the power of the 6 Paths ice escape covering the Sage of 6 Paths is incomparably powerful, it is rootless duckweed after all. And Keigaiji's chakra is extremely powerful. Under the output of chakra regardless of cost, the ice cubes on Sage of 6 Paths began to melt bit by bit with a lot of smoke coming out. In less than 10 seconds, the power of 6 Paths ice escape that made Keigaiji helpless just now has been completely disintegrated by her fairy art chakra. Oh. The Sage of 6 Paths, who was frozen and unable to use even the power of the sky, also escaped. Mother, thank you. After Sage of 6 Paths got out of trouble, he looked at Keigaiji with gratitude and guilt. Obviously, even though he was frozen just now, he still has a clear picture of what happened around him. Whether it's 9 tails, 8 tails, or Wei going to save him, or Keigaiji giving up Sage mode and desperately going to save him, all of these are mostly under his perception. Humph. If it wasn't for the great enemy, I wouldn't waste my time trying to save you, a traitor. It's okay to let you be frozen for a while. This way you also know the pain of being sealed and unable to move. After Keigaiji saw that Sage of 6 Paths was out of trouble, she was relieved, but on the surface she stood up coldly and proudly, turning her head away without even looking at Sage of 6 Paths. Mother, I was wrong. Sage of 6 Paths opened its mouth slightly, and glanced at Otsutsuki Hamura. Immediately afterwards, he and Otsutsuki Hamura both knelt down and worked. Advertisement. Chapter 416 Can the 3 of us take a punch from him? Advertisement. Obviously, Keigaiji's series of actions just now not only deeply touched Otsutsuki Hamura, but also deeply touched Sage of 6 Paths. Let him understand how reckless he was to seal Keigaiji back then. After all, he was too bratty, ignored Keigaiji's feelings, and never thought about it from Keigaiji's perspective. But what the thousand-year seal received was not Kagayaji's deep hatred, but the care and worry just like back then. Kr. Seeing Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura, the two sons she loves and hates, kneel down to her in vain, Kagaya is shocked and a little bit caught off guard. Although she always said, 447, that the two were rebellious sons, she really never thought that the two would admit their mistakes on their own initiative. After all, if Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura really felt that she was wrong, they would not have been so cruel to seal her back then. But now the two not only knelt down, but also bowed their heads and admitted their mistake. Mother, the thousand-year seal, we don't ask you to forgive us. If we can survive this time by chance, then we will definitely do everything to atone. Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura spoke word for word. Let's talk about it when that life survives. I'm the one who ate the chakra fruit. Tenon may let you go, but he will never let me go. Kagayaji's eyes were slightly red, and the three eyes appeared a little wet. But she used chakra to quickly evaporate the little moisture, so that the two sons could not see her weak side. She is the ancestor of chakra. She is the mother of two sons. She is the goddess of Mao. If even she shows a vulnerable side, how can I face the Otsutsuki family, how can I face Tenon? If God really dooms our family to die at the hands of Tianren, then I will definitely walk in front of my mother and open the way for you. Sage of Six Paths said without a doubt. Thousands of years ago, it was our fault. After 1,000 years, no matter what, we will definitely stand by your side, mother. Advertisement. Otsutsuki Hamura said in a deep voice. Hey, up to you. Kagayaji sighed, and when he was about to say something, his expression suddenly changed. Not only her, Otsutsuki Hamura and Sage of Six Paths Fangfo also sensed something, they stood up quickly, and then looked up to the sky with Kagayaji. Seeing this, they immediately felt a burst of horror. God, standing on top of their heads, staring at them indifferently. When Otsutsuki Hamura gets creepier the more I think about it. They didn't know when Luo Hao came to their first ball space, let alone when Luo Hao stood on top of their heads. Horrible, he wants to kill us, it is no different from slaughtering chickens and ducks. Sage of Six Paths was shocked physically and mentally. Whether Otsutsuki Hamura or him, they don't know when Luo Hao will come to the first ball space. I noticed something wrong just now, it's simply that Luo Hao didn't hide his aura. In other words, if Luo Hao wanted to hide it, even if he stood behind the three of them openly, they wouldn't be able to notice it. How is this possible? This is my space. Even if my pupil power is not as good as his reincarnation Sharingan, but he opened a passage to the first ball space, there is no reason why I can't notice it. Kagayaji looked at Luo Hao in disbelief. Royal Palace of Heaven. This is her space, everything is under her control. Even if the control over Tianji Yuzhong is far inferior to Luo Hao, there is no reason why she can't detect someone entering her space. It seems that I came at a very bad time. Facing the shocked eyes of Kagaya and Ji, Luo Hao showed a smile on his face. 0. Advertisement. How on earth did you do it? Kagayaji couldn't help asking. How? What you mean? Luo Hao smiled lightly. Start ball space. This is my space. Why did you enter here? I was completely unaware of your existence. Kagayaji took a breath, and forcibly suppressed the shock in her heart. Do you mean that? The voice has not been heard yet, but Luo Hao has already stood in front of Kagayaji. Hiss. Seeing this scene, the three of Kagayaji felt their scalps go numb for a while. It's right in front of you. Obviously the perception of the three of them has been focused on each other. Obviously their pupil skills have been staring at each other. But they still couldn't realize how Luo Hao came to them without a sound. What on earth is it? Otsutsuki Hamura no longer uses the white eyes, has already opened the Tensagen over the white eyes. With Tensagen's 3.8 horror pupil power, even if someone uses time-space ninjutsu, he can see clearly, and even knows in advance where the person who uses time-space ninjutsu will appear. But just now, he was completely unaware of how Luo Hao came to him, and at the same time, he was aware of any fluctuations. Hamura's Tensagen's insight is still above my Rinnegan. He can even see the fluctuations and trajectories of space clearly. But it seems that he can't see how Tianren appeared. Can the three of us take a punch from him? Sage of Six Paths thinking of this, my heart gradually sinks into the bottom of the valley. Advertisement. Chapter 417 Nine Tails and the others go first, and you will arrive later. Advertisement. In front of them, once again display that incomprehensible teleportation ability. But whether it was Sage of Six Paths, Kagayaji or Otsutsuki Hamura, none of them could notice how Luo Hao moved in front of them. This means that no matter whether it is a frontal fight or a sneak attack from behind, if Luo Hao thinks about it, they probably won't be aware of Luo Hao's attack on them until the moment they die. Sage of Six Paths, who noticed this, naturally felt a lot of pressure in his heart. It looks like even Yuya and Hamura didn't notice how this man moved. Kagayaji took a look at the shocked Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura, and his face turned gloomy. Just now I saved the Sage of Six Paths, and the faint sense of joy brought by learning Sage mode was instantly dissipated. 30. How? Aren't you mother and son very happy just now? Seeing that you are so affectionate between mother and child, I just stood aside and didn't say anything, I gave you enough time. Luo Hao said while looking at Kagayaji. Sage mode you have learned. Next, don't let me down. It may be because the teleportation method he showed just now is too terrifying. Facing his gaze, Kagayaji's body tensed up suddenly. It's like a little rabbit being targeted by a top predator in the forest. Tien Ren, what about Nine Tails? Sage of Six Paths couldn't help asking when he thought that when he was frozen, it was Nine Tails, Eight Tails, and Erwei who risked their lives to suddenly attack Tenon. Oh, you said 3 of them. After launching a few tailed beast bombs at me, I was wiped out by the Shinigami tree I created, and returned 3 groups of the most primitive 10 Tails chakra. Advertisement. Facing the question from Sage of Six Paths, Luo Hao said calmly. His tone was so calm, he was simply stating an innocuous matter. In fact it is. The fact that the Shinigami tree wiped out the 9 tails, 8 tails, and the 2-tailed and 3-tailed beasts was nothing to him. If Sage of Six Paths hadn't asked, he would have simply forgotten about it. Quote. Although Sage of Six Paths was already prepared when he saw Luo Hao appearing in the first ball space, he still felt a burst of indignation when he heard Luo Hao tell the fate of 9 tails and other beasts with his own ears. For him who has survived for more than 1,000 years, he really looks down on life and death. In the ninja world, unless it involves matters related to the life and death of all human beings, even if it is his descendants, even if his son reincarnates to kill each other, and finally dies, he can face it calmly. But 9 tails, 8 tails, and 2 tails are products of his time and created by him. Although he spent a short time with the tailed beasts, he still regards these tailed beasts as his relatives. Especially just now when 9 tails and the other tailed beasts risked their lives to save them, it touched Sage of Six Paths deeply. This time, he is angry. Even the reincarnation of life and death, even death can face calmly, he immediately ignited a nameless anger. Actually, you don't have to be so angry. 9 tails, 8 tails, and Erwei are just one step ahead of you, and you will arrive later. If you feel guilty and want to say something to them, don't worry. Soon you will be able to meet them. Luo Hao said indifferently. Advertisement. Since 9 tails and other beasts have chosen to betray, no matter what the reason for the betrayal is. The end is doomed. Die. Mother, Hamura and I restrain Tenon, you look for an opportunity to launch an attack. Sage of Six Paths knew that Luo Hao must not be allowed to make the first move. Otherwise, they won't even have a chance to fight back. The weird and unpredictable teleport just now is really hard to guard against. Time and space ninjutsu is a very difficult ninjutsu for ordinary ninjas, even cage level and super cage level existences. But for the existence of Sage of Six Paths and their level, unless it is some extremely powerful space-time ninjutsu that involves blood succession and snare level, otherwise it is the same as 683. Because their eyes and senses can easily capture the spatial fluctuations and trajectories caused by the time-space ninjutsu. But just now, Luo Hao moved in front of them in the blink of an eye, and the ability to descend to the first ball space without being noticed by Kagayaji, the master of the sky, really made them afraid of Ultimate. This ability is too unpredictable. It's as powerless as an ordinary ninja facing the Flying Thunder God technique. It is good. Otsutsuki Hamura is also a sage who has experienced many battles and stands at the pinnacle of the ninja world. What Sage of Six Paths can think of, he can naturally think of it too. Almost as soon as Sage of Six Paths finished speaking, his Tensagen locked Luo Hao firmly, and at the same time, an emerald green chakra robe was already wrapped around his body. The Sage of Six Paths on the other side is also wearing the golden chakra trench coat again. Sage Art Tensagen Chakra Mode. Six Paths Sage Mode. Advertisement. Chapter 418 Six Paths Sage Art and Reincarnation Sage Art. Advertisement. After the two brothers entered the Sage mode that they had developed based on their own pupil skills and domains in an instant, they did not see any movement, and they had already flashed in front of Luo Hao. It's just that when Luo Hao teleported, they didn't notice the difference in Luo Hao's movement trajectory at all. Although Brother Six Paths' speed was fast, even the method of moving just now was already a kind of space-time ninjutsu, and they arrived in front of Luo Hao in a single thought. But at the moment when they used time-space ninjutsu, the surrounding space fluctuations clearly told Luo Hao how the Six Paths brothers moved, and even where they moved through time-space ninjutsu, Luo Hao was very clear. That's it. The strongest ninja brother ever. Let me see how much joy you can bring me. When Luo Hao saw that the Sage of Six Paths brothers were the first to attack, he smiled instead of angry. Six Paths Sage Art Universal Pull. Reincarnation Sage Art Universal Pull. Relying on time-space ninjutsu, the Six Paths brothers moved to the left and right sides of Luo Hao in an instant, and at the same time, both of them displayed their strongest methods. Sage Art. And not just any Sage Art. Instead Six Paths Sage Art and Reincarnation Sage Art. This is after the Sage of Six Paths brothers learned the Sage mode of the ninja world, learned to manipulate natural energy, and penetrated all the mysteries contained in the product of the combination of natural energy and chakra. Then they combined their respective strengths and their own mastery Sage Art developed by Hitomi. Whether it is the Six Paths Sage Art of Sage of Six Paths, or the Reincarnation Sage Art of Otsutsuki Hamura, the powers are all played. The Six Paths Sage mode opened by Uzumaki Naruto after receiving the gift from the Mudao sages countless times. Something WW. Feeling the two gravitational forces sweeping from both sides, there was a pair of gravitational forces that wanted to divide his body into two. Luo Hao's eyes flickered. Advertisement. Six Paths Sage Art and Reincarnation Sage Art, together with their respective pupil skills, and all the skills related to chakra, this is the most powerful posture of the Sage of Six Paths brothers. That's why they were able to forcibly seal Kagayaji with a tough attitude back then. Different from Class 7 who sealed Kagayaji with a plan. The Sage of Six Paths brothers who were in conflict with Kagaya Jishi back then took a tough stance to seal her. That's why Black Zetsu said that when the brothers Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura joined forces, their power surpassed that of his mother Kagaya Haim. If you can eat the chakra fruit, it will be even more interesting. Pity. Luo Hao secretly shook his head. Brother Sage of Six Paths is one of the best fighters of all the strong men he has ever seen. Fully understand the nature of chakra, pupil power, and natural energy. Absolute control and can perfectly display all your strengths in battle. I am also cautious and wise, like a Buddha who can see through the future. Few can compare to the Sage of Six Paths brothers in every way. At least there is only Aizen Sosuke in the skirt chat. As for the others, even Billion is still a bit inferior. As for Acedes, his fighting qualities are outstanding, but he is too easily addicted to fighting and can easily show his flaws. It is so rare to see a strong man who is impeccable in every aspect like the Sage of Six Paths brothers. Others either lack strength, or lack of means, or lack of wisdom. There are always some places that are not perfect, just a little bit worse. Advertisement. In Luo Hao's opinion, if the Sage of Six Paths brothers also eat a whole chakra fruit that Kagaya Ji ate, and then join forces, it will definitely bring him more joy. Unfortunately, the Sage of Six Paths brothers didn't intend to do that. They are more like following the rules of life and death in the ninja world, at most they are the guardians of the ninja world hidden in the dark. Otherwise, with the talents of the two brothers, they have been working on a new sacred tree and cultivating the chakra fruit for so many years. Although he felt a little regretful, Luo Hao did not intend to give them a chakra fruit directly, and then make up for his regretful thoughts. He is not a fighter. He's just the same as Saitama the Great Demon Lord. I just want to simply find someone who can take his punch. As for funding the enemy, he won't do it. But if it's your own, it's a different matter. Mother. Just when Luo Hao's thoughts were racing, Six Paths What's Zhao, Immortal and Otsutsuki Hamura looked at Kagaya Ji at the same time. Sage mode on. Although Kagaya Ji did not develop his own top sage mode like his two sons. Instead, she learned and mastered Mount Myoboku at this time, which is the normal sage mode that Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura originally learned. But I can't stand her background, chakra, and powerful pupils. Even if it's just the most common sage mode, but after adding natural energy, her strength also increases geometrically. Sage art killing ashes together. A pair of white eyes of Kagaya Ji and the reincarnation Sharingan on the forehead simultaneously bloomed with a frightening light. Advertisement. Chapter 419 Does your family have anything more proud to show? Advertisement. With a deep cold drink, Kagaya Ji's hands immediately extended to death gray bone spurs exuding a rotten aura, and then flew through the space at a frightening speed, instantly sinking into Luo Hao who was pulled into the void by two gravitational forces in vivo. Kill the ashes together. This is one of the most dangerous snares for mothers. A sigh flashed in Sage of Six Paths' eyes. Back then, their brothers had to be careful when facing Kagaya Ji's move. Even if they were hit by the ashes of the communist killings, they would all die. The destructive power of killing the ashes together is almost incomprehensible. Now also added magic. Even Tenon shouldn't be able to completely ignore it, right? Otsutsuki Hamura looked towards Luo Hao while thinking. But what made his forehead break out in cold sweat was that after Luo Hao carried Kagaya Ji's sage art together killing ashes head on, his expression was as calm as ever, without any change in color. Nice 787 power. Sure enough, you have become stronger, but it's still not enough. Luo Hao glanced at the three Kagaya Ji mother and son who were staring at him intently, then stretched out his hands to hold the two bone spurs on his chest calmly, and then pulled them outward. Two holes immediately appeared in the sight of Kagaya Haim, mother and son. But it's not the holes in Luo Hao's body, but the clothes. What kind of physique is this? Even the immortal physique obtained by eating the chakra fruit can hardly bear the ashes of the total killing, and my total killing of the ashes has also added fairy arts. Even if he eats two chakra fruits, he won't be able to resist. Kagaya Haim opened her mouth wide in disbelief. Can't even attack the ashes of the sand. Advertisement. Sage of Six Paths saw this scene, and Rinnegan was also full of disbelief. The destructive power of attacking sand ashes. Even he feels lingering fear in his heart. Not to mention that Kagaya Ji's attacking sand ashes is now infused with the magic chakra. Its power is several times stronger than the original sand attacking ashes. What's the matter with his body? Otsutsuki Hamura felt incredible. Is there nothing more proud of your family? Luo Hao pulled out the bone spur that pierced his clothes, threw it aside, and asked in a slightly expectant tone while reaching out to pat the dust on the clothes. Sage Art Yasogami Skystrike. Faced with Luo Hao's contempt, Kagaya Ji gritted her teeth and raised her hand to slap Chakra's fist soaring into the sky. Six Paths Sage Art Lightning Style Amanuma Spear. Sage of Six Paths stretched out his hand, and the truth-seeking balls suspended behind his back immediately floated in front of him, and then connected in a line and turned into a strangely shaped divine sword. Let's call it Excalibur. Immediately afterwards, the Excalibur formed by the condensed truth-seeking balls was infused with Six Paths Sage Art and Six Paths Lightning Style. The Sage of Six Paths mentioned by Uchiha Obito used this sword to create the ninja world. It is estimated that it is impossible. But Sage of Six Paths with this divine sword can destroy this ninja world. After all, destruction is far easier than creation. Just like when Sage of Six Paths is frozen by the power of Six Paths, ice escape, Kagaya can kill Sage of Six Paths, but it is difficult to save him. Reincarnation Sage Art Fire Style Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion. Seeing how young his mother and big brother are, Otsutsuki Hamura will naturally not lag behind them. Advertisement. Under his control, the emerald green truth-seeking balls rotated and converged, and finally turned into a soaring chakra-long sword. Immediately afterwards, the extremely hot flame turned into a roaring fire dragon wrapped around the golden chakra-long sword. That's what it looks like. A look of joy flashed in Luo Hao's eyes. He has been standing still since the three-person fight with Kagayaji mother and son in the first ball space. Now he's moving. I saw him stepping out. The sky in the first ball space was actually collapsed by his forcible step on it. Looking around, the sky seemed to be smashed by him in one step, creating a sinkhole. Such a terrifying vision of heaven and earth was actually created by someone stepping on it. What does he want to do? Kagayaji, mother and son stared at Luo Hao, who jumped up. Under the gaze of the three of them, Luo Hao took the lead in meeting Kagayaji's Yashigami air attack. Facing the countless chakra fists that could shake the space universe of the first ball, Luo Hao raised his hand and pressed. The entire starting ball space is like a can of Coke bottles that can be slapped down with one palm. With this slap, the first ball space was naturally slapped several meters shorter than before by Luo Hao's slap under the huge rumbling sound of shaking the mountains. It looks like a Coke bottle has been smashed. Even the space of the first ball was photographed so that the distance between the sky and the earth was shortened a lot. Of course, Kagayaji's Yashishin Kongjan was shot by Luo Hao in an instant. What kind of martial art is this? Kagayaji stared at the scene in front of her in astonishment. As the controller of the first ball space, although he is not as good as Luo Hao in Yuzhong, he can still clearly feel the changes in the entire first ball space. Advertisement. Chapter 420. The distance between heaven and earth has become shorter. Advertisement. What's wrong, mother? Although Sage of Six Paths was also shocked by Luo Hao's godlike physical skills, he was not Kagayaji after all. If he didn't eat the chakra fruit, and didn't start the reincarnation Sharingan, he wouldn't be in heaven. So he doesn't know the change of the starting ball space. The distance between the sky and the earth in the first spherical space has become shorter. That man smashed the entire starting ball space down several meters with one palm. Kagayaji turned his head with difficulty, and said something that made even Sage of Six Paths dumbfounded. What? Sage of Six Paths looked at Luo Hao with a dull expression. At this time, after Luo Hao shattered Kagayaji's Yashishinkong strike, he immediately turned sideways and grabbed Otsutsuki Hamura's Chuck-Lajin sword wrapped around the fiery dragon. Even Otsutsuki Tonari's Golden Wheel Tensai Blast can easily cut through the ninja worlds, the moon. The Reincarnation Sage Art Fire Style Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion performed by Otsutsuki Hamura is more than 10 times more powerful than Otsutsuki Sharon. Such a sword, even the Sage of Six Paths dare not take it hard, even Kagayaji was cut off an arm back then. But Luo Hao is actually unarmed, with 5 fingers that look no different from ordinary people, like an eagle grabbing a chicken with its claws, firmly grasping this terrifying golden sword of chakra. How is this possible? Otsutsuki Hamura's heart almost stopped beating when he saw that the blow he was proud of was broken by Luo Hao in such a way. Even the moon. Do not. It's the whole ninja world. He has the confidence to use this blow of Golden Wheel Reincarnation to split it in half. If Luo Hao catches his blow with other abilities, he won't be surprised. After all, Luo Hao's strength is stronger than him, and it is only natural that he will take over his golden wheel and explode. Advertisement. But with bare hands, he firmly grasped his golden wheel with 5 fingers, reincarnating and exploding. What is this? It's up to you. While resisting the attacks of Kagayaji and Otsutsuki Hamura with his left and right hands respectively, Luo Hao raised his right foot and stomped hard on the Amanuma spear, which contains the powerful spiritual will of Sage of Six Paths. Click. Just one step. The Tianmarsh spear that contained the strong and unwavering spiritual will of Sage of Six Paths has been broken every inch of it, and nothing remains in the end. So far, all the proud attacks of Kagayaji's family of 3 have been shattered by Luo Hao. Seeing this scene, Kagayaji's family fell silent. All of a sudden, the entire first ball space fell into a kind of absolute silence. Obviously, all 3 of them were shocked by Luo Hao's method. No matter how much they thought about it, they couldn't imagine that Luo Hao would break the joint attack of the 3 of them in such an outrageous and unreasonable way. Frankly speaking, I am quite surprised by your performance. However, this battle can't always be me being beaten passively. Let's see what happens. I have received so many attacks from you mother and son, now it will be your family of 3 who receive a punch from me. Luo Hao's words made the 3 of Kagaya and Ji shudder one after another, and then each of them tensed up. The perception and pupil skills all concentrated on Luo Hao. Such an attitude of facing an enemy. Obviously, they were all afraid that if they blinked, they would be punched to death by Luo Hao. Don't be so nervous. Just one punch. Luo Hao couldn't help laughing when he saw Kagayaji, Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura so nervous. But all smiles, he didn't have the slightest ambiguity when he moved his hands. 0 for flowers. Advertisement. Fist. The question is, can we really go through with your punch? Seeing Luo Hao speak so easily, Sage of Six Paths couldn't help cursing in his heart even with his extraordinary mentality. Seeing that Luo Hao broke the attack that the mother and son were proud of with such a sturdy posture just now, he was really disturbed. Originally, he thought that he had guessed the extent of Luo Hao's strength to some extent, but the scene just now was like a slap, slapping his face fiercely, waking him up. How to try to figure out Luo Hao's strength, this is simply his wishful thinking. In fact, from the beginning to the end, he didn't figure out what Luo Hao's strength had reached. What he thought he knew clearly was only a part of the strength released by Luo Hao. And the strength that has not been released, he has not figured it out from the beginning to the end. Big brother, what should I do? Otsutsuki Hamura swallowed hard. It's not that he is cowardly. It's not that he panicked. He really didn't know what to do. After all, Luo Hao is too strong. So strong that Otsutsuki Hamura couldn't see any hope even with Tensegan open. I don't know either. Sage of Six Paths is a little depressed. At this moment, many thoughts flashed through his mind. He thought about running, but whenever such thoughts come up in his mind, his heart is full of warnings. It seemed that there was an inexplicable voice telling him that if he ran away and didn't receive Luo Hao's punch, he would end up worse than death. Advertisement. Chapter 421 I Can't Hold Back Madara's Coffin. Advertisement. It was this strange warning that made Sage of Six Paths dispel the idea of running away. Since you can't run, you can only bite the bullet. Just. Come to think of it, a pair of Rinagons from Sage of Six Paths is all about firmness and despair. That's right, running away is worse than death. But if you don't run, it doesn't mean you won't die. On the contrary, the same will die. Therefore, after Sage of Six Paths made up their minds, they also quickly prepared themselves to meet Nine Tails, Eight Tails, and Erway after dying under Luo Hao's punch. 8 Inner Gates Mode. Luo Hao stared at Kagaya 27, Otsutsuki Hamura, and Sage of Six Paths, who looked at death like home, and the corners of his mouth slowly curved. In the next second, the fiery blood-red chakra spewed out, surrounding his whole body. Although he didn't do anything, the powerful chakra caused the surrounding space to vibrate continuously. Seeing this scene, Kagaya and his family couldn't help but wonder whether the first ball space could withstand Luo Hao in this posture. After all, although the first ball space is more stable than the other 5 spaces, it is not as strong and stable as Ninja World, and even less so than Soul Society. A space as powerful as Soul Society is turned upside down under Luo Hao's finger, and it is directly coned into a middle score. Even if Luo Hao doesn't do anything in the mere ball space, just the powerful blood-red chakra emitted all the time has already made the gravity of the space continuously rise to a level beyond the shackles of the space. What's more scary is the 8 Inner Gates Mode. I've seen this pattern before. But not so strong. Sage of Six Paths said. Advertisement. The only explanation is that he didn't go all out in the 8 Inner Gates Mode in the 3rd battle and the 4th battle not long ago, and he didn't use his full power. Otsutsuki let out a foul breath. Fang Buddha wants to spit out the mountain-like pressure that oppresses the soul in this way. When you fought with me before, you didn't display all your strength in this mode. Kagaya is also one of the rare people who survived the fist fight with Luo Hao in 8 Inner Gates Mode. Of course, apart from the fact that Luo Hao didn't use all her strength, the most important thing is that she ate the fruit of the sacred tree, and she was immortal. Otherwise, even if Luo Hao didn't do his best, Kagaya would still be dead. After all, at that time, Kagaya was directly blown off half of her body. If it were someone else, they would have already been on their way to reincarnation. Which man would argue with a girl? Luo Hao said lightly. The group of Skirt friends who quietly watched the live broadcast in the Skirt chat immediately became active when they saw Luo Hao's P***Psi. Zhang Chulin. I feel like I can't hold Madara's coffin anymore. Acedes. Fortunately, Uchiha Madara died early. Otherwise, he would probably be P***D off on the spot. Aizen Sosuke. Looks like Hokage-sama has been eyeing this dead Mr. Madara recently. Whitebeard. Aizen, don't be so happy, maybe it's your lines, your tricks have long been used up by Boy Luo, that's why he's eyeing Konoha Dance King. Cheomung. Be confident, don't worry about it, it's for sure. Aizen Sosuke. Is this what you mean by not caring about girls? Regardless of how many times you beat me to death. If I didn't eat the chakra fruit, I don't know how many times I died by your hands. Advertisement. After Kagaya heard Luo Hao's words, although she still looked like she was facing an enemy, she couldn't help but yell. If she saw Uchiha Madara pretending to be a jerk in front of Onoki, she would definitely say, if you really want to play this jerk, at least you have to hit me like Uchiha Madara, and then let it go and pretend again. What kind of indifference are you doing now? It is clearly a rhythm that wants me, Kagaya and his family to die together. This attitude of killing everything is what you say you don't care about. No way, I've tried my best to control and avoid killing you with one punch. Who made you so disheartened? I can't do it with a single punch. Your performance is so disappointing, so I have no choice but to ask your 2 sons to come out of the mountain to help you. Luo Hao shrugged. Just when Kagaya was about to speak, a black light suddenly burst out from his body wrapped in blood-red chakra. The sudden appearance of this black light caused the hearts of Sage of Six Paths, Kagaya and Otsutsuki Hamura to beat violently. Unprecedented strong anxiety in the previous 2.2 filled their hearts. What is this? Kagaya's 3 eyes widened. Under the gaze of her constricted pupils, the black light that suddenly appeared began to change. From a black light that devours all the surrounding light, the shape changes gradually. Soon, a black light robe that was as black as ink and printed with golden jade was completely formed, and it fell on Luo Hao's body wrapped in the blood-red chakra. Sin. Sage mode. Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura looked at each other, and both saw horror in each other's eyes. Advertisement. Chapter 422. With a flick of the fingers. The space of the first ball disappears. Advertisement. As a sage of Six Paths brother who learned the sage mode of Mount Myoboku, and then innovated to create the strongest sage mode of his own. They knew at the moment they saw Luo Hao wearing a robe that exudes black luster. Luo Hao casts sage mode. Not in sage mode in Soul Society's Sage Art 8 Inner Gates mode. At that time, he killed Yamamoto Genryusai with one finger, and the sage mode that combed the sky of Soul Society was just the basic sage mode of Luo Hao. But now, both Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura clearly distinguish that the sage mode used by Luo Hao is the same as the Six Paths sage mode and Sage Art Tensegan chakra mode developed by their two brothers, and they are all sage modes beyond the ninja world. It belongs to the higher level 30 fairy posture. Sage mode. Is this his sage mode? Although Kagayaji has not mastered the top-level immortal postures like Six Paths Sage Mode and Sage Art Tensegan Chakra Mode, but she has mastered the Sage Mode of Mount Myoboku after all. At this time, she can also perceive what a terrifying and horrifying natural energy zone is hidden in the doctor in this posture. It should be. Sage of Six Paths nodded with difficulty. But it's hard to say whether he will have a higher level posture than this Sage Mode. Otsutsuki Hamura's pair of Tensegan flashed a little weak. Facing Luo Hao, whose strength is as endless as a bottomless pit, even he feels hopeless, and feels that his mentality is about to explode. One can imagine how hopeless and helpless those ordinary ninjas who used to stand opposite Luo Hao were in the past. This gesture of yours, what is it called? Sage of Six Paths took a breath and forced himself to pull himself together. Since they are all about to die, of course he must choose a decent and dignified way to die. At least before dying, put on a wave in front of Luo Hao. Advertisement. No matter how bad it is, you have to put on a posture of going to death calmly. If you want to die clearly and with dignity, then you must figure out what ability you are dying under. You really stopped me by asking this question. Six Paths. Hearing this, Luo Hao touched his forehead as if he was a little distressed. Haven't you given this power a name? Sage of Six Paths stared at Luo Hao in surprise. People in the ninja world are very concerned about the techniques they have developed. Even a body replacement technique will think about it and give it a very suitable name. Among them, Namikaze Minato is the most enthusiastic about this aspect. There are countless names like Spiral Flash Shaolin Waho Sanshi. Although other people in the ninja world do not pay as much attention to the name of each art as Namikaze Minato, they will not take it lightly. Have you never performed this gesture? Otsutsuki Hamura was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized. There is no name for the technique, and the only explanation is that not only has Luo Hao never used this gesture in front of others, he has never even used it in normal times. Only in this way, Yin Hao will be a little distressed that his art has no name. You're absolutely right. After this sage mode was created by me, I never used it in front of others. Even myself, I only entered this pose for a split second when I created it, and then I was out of it immediately. Luo Hao nodded as a matter of course. Why? Kagayaji was a little puzzled. Advertisement. To create such a powerful sage mode, shouldn't it be used, no matter how bad it is, it should be given a name, right? Why does it seem that you still look very disgusted and exit sage mode immediately? Because I'm a little afraid that if this state lasts for a second longer, the ninja world will be destroyed because of me. Just like now, Luo Hao said seriously, and then lifted a finger gently. Bang. Without any warning, the natural energy in the entire space of the first ball exploded. The sky began to shake, and the earth began to crack. Not only that, a connection, the crack in the sky that split the entire space of the first ball quickly split open, falling into the eyes of Kagayaji's family of three. At the same time, the entire primordial space became extremely heavy 387, and overwhelming natural energy spread, triggering all kinds of terrifying doomsday natural disasters. Click. With the sound of glass shattering, the initial ball space collapsed at a speed visible to the naked eye, splitting into several parts. Every part of the space has entered a doomsday posture and is beginning to move towards the destruction of the world. It took less than 5 seconds for Luo Hao to raise a finger, to cause various natural disasters, and then to the complete collapse of the first ball space. During these 5 seconds, Luo Hao did nothing. There is no way to release your own power. In the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths and others, he just raised a finger in a very simple way. But the ball space can't bear it. Without him, because the chakra that Luo Hao exudes all the time in this posture is so strong that the space for the first ball can't bear it. In this state, even if he just made an inadvertent movement, even if he just moved his fingers, it would be like the last straw that crushed the camel's camel in the first ball space, causing a catastrophic collapse in an instant. Advertisement. Chapter 423 Yuya, Hamura, why don't we run? Advertisement. Run. With a flick of the finger, the first ball space was wiped out. After such a horrifying scene came into view, Sage of Six Paths immediately roared in horror after a brief loss of consciousness. With their strength, they can survive even in the vast starry sky of the universe. They can also survive space collapse like the original ball space. But now the entire space couldn't bear Luo Hao's power and exploded and collapsed on the spot. When the time comes, the space will turn into nothingness. Facing the endless turbulent flow of different spaces, they don't know where they will be caught. If it was just exiled to an unknown space, the universe would be fine. Once involved in some black holes, folded layers of space, cracks, etc., it is as strong as Kagayaji's family will die without life. With all due respect, Our family of 3 will definitely not be able to take this punch. Otsutsuki Hamura said something quickly, and then fell into Kagaya Hime's Hirazaka with Sage of 6 Paths. That, Yuya, Hamura, why don't we run away? In the portal, Kagaya said to her 2 sons while going to other spaces. I agree. Otsutsuki Hamura was silent for a moment before nodding in agreement. I agree too. Sage of 6 Paths, who was thinking of dying with dignity just now, has no intention of objecting at all. Still Harry, and get a fart punch. Advertisement. Just enter the unknown sage mode, and then move a finger so lightly, the entire space of the first ball enters the state of doomsday natural disaster, and then goes to collapse and destruction. In less than 5 seconds, the first ball space is gone. Now they all understand why Luo Hao didn't give this stance a name, and he never performed this stance, and even quit this stance immediately after creating this technique, and never used it again. Can this still work? Enter this unknown sage mode, you don't have to do anything, the ball space is gone. Although the ninja world is stronger and vaster than the first ball space, the problem is that Luo Hao didn't do anything in the first ball space just now. Without releasing the power, just by moving a finger, the first ball space will be destroyed within 5 seconds, completely disintegrated. Facing Luo Hao in this posture, even if they thought about it with their toes, they knew that they were not qualified to receive a punch from the opponent. Even maintaining the posture just now, Luo Hao didn't have to punch, and he didn't even have to move his fingers. Just a little mobilization of natural energy with thoughts can crush them to death. The 3 of them have not forgotten that all the natural energy in the entire initial ball space just now went berserk, completely dominated by Luo Hao. Go to other spaces in Heavenly Palace first, and then leave the ninja world immediately. Before coming to Ninja World, my family conquered countless planets. Some of the planets' positions I have memorized. Although there are other Otsutsuki clan guarding there, with the strength of our mother and son, as long as we don't meet the masters of our own family, we can defeat each other. Kagaya said without looking back. As a member of the Otsutsuki family, she naturally knows how powerful the Otsutsuki family is. But that refers to the whole family, that refers to the family. Advertisement. If it's just the branch house and the clan, or if it's just a single member of the Otsutsuki clan, you don't need Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura. After receiving a series of beatings from Luo Hao, your fighting quality has improved rapidly, and you have learned how to mount Kagaya Hime in Myoboku Sage mode can fight several clan and branch house members by himself. If you add Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura, and the mother and son stand shoulder to shoulder, as long as you don't encounter 2 strong family members, you can fight and even win. After seeing the horror of Luo Hao, Kagaya has completely given up on the ninja world. Now she would rather face off against the entire Otsutsuki clan, facing the main family, and the branch house at the same time, rather than face Luo Hao. After all, against the Otsutsuki clan, the 3 of them, mother and son, can at least survive a few tricks, but forget about it against Luo Hao. The other party didn't even need to move a finger, and the 3 members of my family exploded on the spot and died on the spot. Backquote him. Just do as you tell me. Otsutsuki Hamura and Sage of 6 Paths have no objection to Kagaya's proposal. As for the ninja world, forget it. With Luo Hao Lee's, there is no need for them to be the guardians of the ninja world. Luo Hao is already very good if he doesn't invade other planets, so there is no need to worry about the ninja world being invaded by other planets from the universe Starry Sky. After seeing what Luo Hao is capable of, the Sage of 6 Paths brothers expressed that they have no worries about this at all. Now, they even have a little pity for the rest of the Otsutsuki clan. If they really came to the ninja world again for the fruit of the sacred tree, then these people would probably die miserably. Want to escape? Looking at the 3 Kagaya who fled away, Luo Hao, who was in the collapsed first ball space, did not leave, but we stayed where we were, quietly watching the 3 of them go away. Advertisement. Chapter 424 Brother 6 Paths. Running away is worse than dying. Advertisement. 6 Paths, Hamura, you have cultivated chakra to your level, you should be aware of it. If you escape, it will be worse than death. Seeing the 3 members of Kagaya's family running away, Luo Hao didn't chase after him immediately. Anyone who was targeted by him has no possibility of escaping. Not to mention escaping from the ninja world, even if he escapes to other worlds, to the world of Aizen Sosuke and other skirt friends, he can chase them and find them out. Now it is impossible for Kagaya Hime and the others to escape in his world. He didn't catch up. Although Otsutsuki Hamura didn't look back, his white eyes have a 360-degree insight without any dead angle, let alone the first pair of Tensagen he owns in the ninja world. Even without turning his head, he could still see that Luo Hao was standing there quietly. Since there is no pursuit, there is no sign of leaving the first ball space that is about to collapse. But Luo Hao's unresponsive behavior not only didn't let him take a breather, but made the uneasiness in his heart even stronger. Big brother, 160, do you have that restless feeling? Just stay where you are, and die. And running would be worse than death. Otsutsuki Hamura followed Kagaya to fly to other spaces, and smelled it to the Sage of 6 Paths beside him in a low voice. When Sage of 6 Paths heard this, a shadow suddenly cast over his heart. What Otsutsuki Hamura described in words was exactly what he felt inside. This tells him that the feeling in his heart is not an illusion, but real. Because my younger brother feels exactly the same as him at this time. Advertisement. Running is worse than dying. Kagaya Hime froze. Although she is stronger than Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura because she ate the fruit of the sacred tree, she does not have the strange perception of the two. At first, I also thought it was my own illusion, and I really thought it was an illusion. But now that Hamura has said so, I don't have any luck in my heart. Sage of Six Paths said bitterly. Mother, you may not believe me if you tell me. Anyway, my big brother and I had this feeling early in the morning. In fact, before this, it's not that my big brother and I didn't have the idea of taking you to escape directly. But whenever I have this kind of thought, there is a voice in my heart that is crazily warning, as if it is telling me. One punch from Tenon will kill you, but if you run away, it will be worse than death. Otsutsuki Hamura looked at Keigayaji, and said each word in a pause. Are you the same, Yuya? Hearing this, Keigayaji immediately realized what it means to think carefully and fear. Sage of Six Paths nodded sullenly. He didn't come after him. With supercilious eyes, Keigayaji found that Luo Hao was still standing in the first ball space that was about to collapse before Wonquan Billionsaka was completely closed, and had no intention of catching up. Don't overthink it. Now that we have already taken this step, no matter how bad the final result is, we must go on. Advertisement. Sage of Six Paths let out a complicated sigh. Maybe the future is really as scary, Dea, as you think. But if you let me wait to die just relying on the so-called feelings, please forgive me for not being able to do it. After relying on Wonquan Hirosaka to rush from the first ball space to the ice and snow space where Luo Hao had been pressed to the ground and beaten, Keigayaji once again used Wonquan Hirosaka. But this time, she didn't open a portal to other spaces controlled by the Heavenly Emperor, but opened a portal to the moon, which is where she was sealed for thousands of years. When she broke the seal, she gritted her teeth and thought in her heart that she would never come back here in the future. But now, in order to escape for her life, she came here again. Wonquan Billionsaka can also shuttle freely without any scruples. The space distance that can be crossed at one time is also limited. Otherwise, it would not have taken so long for the people sent by the Otsutsuki clan to catch up with Keigayaji to rush from the Otsutsuki clan to the earth, and they had almost consumed all the chakra before rushing to the ninja world. With the strength of Keigayaji, although they are stronger than Otsutsuki Momo, but it is not easy to make a super long distance, and the space jump between galaxies. Even if you know the extremely accurate space coordinates, you need to spend a lot of chakra at one time, which is obviously not advisable for Keigayaji. So she chose a multi-stage space jump. First go to the ice and snow space, then to the moon, and then to the planets near the ninja world. Let's hope our feelings don't become reality. Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura looked at each other, then followed in the footsteps of Keigayaji, crossed the Yellow Springs Hirosaka, and reached the moon in one fell swoop. But in an instant, the three of them suddenly found that the starry sky in front of them had disappeared, and the moon under their feet had also disappeared. In a blink of an eye, they returned directly from the moon to the ice and snow space. How did we get back? Just when the three of them were stupefied and feeling undecided, the surrounding scene changed again. The ice and snow space in front of him disappeared again, replaced by the first ball space that was about to collapse. Advertisement. Chapter 425 Golden Rinnegan's exclusive pupil art. Time. Advertisement. This is the first ball space. My royal palace. Looking at the very familiar first ball space in front of them, both Keigayaji and the Sage of Six Paths brothers were dumbfounded on the spot. They can all tell that this is Keigayaji's starting ball space. That is to say, Luo Hao didn't use the ability of Yuzhong of Heaven to forcibly transfer them to his own space in. Moreover, they have all fled to the moon just now, and they are extremely far away from the space where Keigayaji's first ball space is located. They shift back to the original ball space. Especially this is Keigayaji's first ball space, not the first ball space mastered by Luo Hao's Tianji Yuzhong. How did we get back? Sage of Six Paths feels incredible. There is no room for moving trajectories, waves. It's incredible. Obviously we were transferred from the moon back to the space of the first sphere by Tianren, but why can't my Tenseigen detect the trajectory and fluctuation caused by the slightest space change at all? Otsutsuki Hamura's reaction at this point is not much better than Sage of Six Paths. The main reason is that Luo Hao's move is too terrifying. It directly stunned the two brothers. No matter what kind of ability Luo Hao used before, there are traces to follow. But since coming to the first ball space, whether it is the unknown sage mode, and the teleportation that cannot see the space fluctuation, or now it transfers them from the first ball space to the ice and snow space, and then transfers them from the ice and snow space to the original ball space, the means are completely invisible to them. Your eyes. So that's what happened. No wonder I didn't notice when you entered the ball space. No wonder I couldn't react when you teleported in front of me. No wonder you were able to transfer us directly from the moon back to primordial space. Compared to Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura, who were bewildered and overwhelmed, Keigaya quickly calmed down after the initial shock. Advertisement. Although her pretty face and her three eyes were full of unconcealable shock, her tone and expression did not have any doubts. Obviously, she knew what Luo Hao's ability was about. As expected of someone who ate the chakra fruit and came from the Otsutsuki clan. In terms of knowledge, you're actually still in the Sage of Six Paths Brotherhood. Seeing Keigayaji's reaction, even though she hasn't spoken yet, Luo Hao is sure that Keigayaji understands what the ability he just displayed is. Mother, do you really understand what's going on? Otsutsuki Hamura looked at Keigaya Haim in disbelief. Did he use some unknown space-time ninjutsu? Sage of Six Paths couldn't help asking. It's not time-space ninjutsu. In the ninja world, the term space-time ninjutsu is actually just referring to the ability of space. Such as my Wonquan Hirosaka, Tianji Yuzhong, and Yuya, your heavenly hand power and so on. But what he used just now is not a space-time ninjutsu at all. Kagaya-ji fixed her three eyes on Luo Hao's pair of golden reincarnation Sharingan. Not time-space ninjutsu. What would that be? Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura looked at each other, and they both saw puzzlement in each other's eyes. Whether it was the teleportation just now, or the silent entry into the original sphere space, or transferring them from the moon back to the original sphere space, all these methods are related to time and space. The power of time. 0 for flowers. Kagaya-ji said every word. What? Otsutsuki Hamura and Sage of Six Paths changed their expressions at the same time. Advertisement. The ability of space, in the ninja world represents strength. Even for those at the Six Paths level, the ability of space is still extremely powerful. But it is not without abilities that are more dangerous and terrifying than space. It's just that the ninja world hardly exists. That's the time. Even Kagaya Haim, Sage of Six Paths, and Insutsuki Hamura, the three sages standing at the pinnacle of the ninja world, have never mastered this power. 0. If I'm not mistaken, this is the pupil technique of your two reincarnation Sharingan. One of your eyes should have two pupils related to time. Although Kagaya-ji's tone of voice was extremely firm, her face was ashen. She knows it all too well. How terrifying is the pupil technique in terms of time? That is definitely not something human can compete with. Especially some time pupil techniques that can play a great role in battle. Because, before she ate the chakra fruit, she had seen the pupil technique of time when she was in the Otsutsuki clan's clan land. Judging from the pupil technique that Luo Hao showed just now, Kagaya-ji can be sure that the power of the time pupil technique mastered by the other party is very terrifying. It is definitely enough to make her lose all thoughts of resistance in an instant, enough to completely disintegrate her will to fight. A man from the Otsutsuki clan after all. You were right. The exclusive pupil technique of my pair of reincarnation Sharingan is indeed the ability of time. And there are two different time pupil techniques. Luo Hao didn't hide anything either. After all, from the moment he cast it, there is no need to hide it. Advertisement. Chapter 426. Left Eye Pupil Technique. Back in Time. Advertisement. Time Pupil Technique. And there are two kinds. Sage of Six Paths only feels heavy inside, and I feel like I can't breathe. He knew that the feelings he and Hamura had felt before were likely to become reality. Although the ninja world does not have the ability to control time in the true sense, even if there is, it is only sporadically related to the ability of time, and these abilities basically cannot be used in battle. But even so, these abilities that have anything to do with time, even if only a little bit, have extraordinary effects. Such as Great Toad Sage can predict the future ability. Although it is impossible to control, 120, predicting what content and when is completely out of control, but it is undeniable that this ability is extremely useful. Helped the Sage of Six Paths brothers many times as far back as Kagaya Haim. And these abilities that are slightly related to time are so terrifying. What about the two pupil skills that Luo Hao has mastered that are completely related to time? How terrifying is this kind of pupil technique that precisely controls time? The two brothers know it very well. Just now you transferred our mother and child from the moon back to the ice and snow space, and then transferred back to the original sphere space, instead of directly transferring from the moon back to the original sphere space. This also means that your ability is not time and space, but time. Turn back time for about 3 seconds. This should be the pupil technique mastered by one of your reincarnation Sharingan. Kagaya-ji's tone is extremely bitter. The more she understands what Luo Hao's time pupil technique is, the more terrifying she feels. Observation and judgment are good. Turning back time is exactly what my left eye is capable of. What about the second one? Advertisement. Luo Hao smiled. His words are obviously tantamount to acknowledging that Kagaya-ji's words are correct. Go back in time. Is he born with this kind of physique close to time, or the chakra fruit he created contains the power of time in it? Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura both felt their scalps go numb. Just the 3 words of turning back time, they feel extremely terrible. Although the time for backflow is not long, it is only 3 seconds. But when it comes to time, which is a very macroscopic, almost supreme ability, let alone 3 seconds, even 1 second, or even a tenth of a second is extremely terrifying. The second type, if I'm not mistaken, should be related to the future. Kagaya-ji pondered for a while, combined with the time ability she had seen in the past, and the method Luo Hao used just now, an aura suddenly bloomed from her mind. It seems that many people in the Otsutsuki clan have mastered the pupil technique of time. As Luo Hao was talking, he thought of Otsutsuki Taoshi and the others. These few Otsutsuki who hunted down Kagaya-ji have more or less mastered some time-related abilities. Although it doesn't seem very powerful, and it needs to pay a lot of money to use it, but you can see the whole picture if you take a look at Madara. The people who were sent out to chase and kill mastered the time-related pupil art, so there must be many people in that big clan mastered the time pupil art. Especially those who are above the main family and branch house. With such a high-ranking family, what the main family needs to surpass and control the main family and branch house must not be based on rules, but the strength that crushes everything. In this way, the pupil technique and chakra mastered by the people in the main family are probably far above the main family and the branch house. It seems that it is necessary to find some time to go to the clan land of the Otsutsuki clan. Thinking of this, Luo Hao's eyes flashed with anticipation. Advertisement. You speak well. Even if it is such a noble ability as time, there are many people in the Otsutsuki family who have mastered this ability. It's just that most of them are not as powerful as the pupil technique of your eyes. Kagaya Haim nodded. 0. She heard it. In all likelihood, Luo Hao is trying to hit the Otsutsuki clan. In this regard, she naturally did not mind contributing to this incident. After all, both the Otsutsuki clan and Luo Hao have inseparable grievances with her. Naturally, Luo Hao didn't need to say much, his family of 3 was about to be slaughtered. As for the Otsutsuki family, they also have an attitude of killing her before they are quick. Letting the two sides fight to the death is naturally what Kagaya wants to see the most. I understand. The pupil technique of your other eye, I think I understand what's going on. Just when Kagaya was ignoring the fire, Sage of Six Paths said suddenly. Oh, tell me. Luo Hao looked at Sage of Six Paths playfully. It is not surprising that Kagaya saw that the time pupil technique he mastered in one eye is to reverse the time for 3 seconds. After all, Kagaya himself is so familiar with the pupil technique of time, and this ability is not difficult to guess. Although the ability of time is extremely noble, it is not weird and unpredictable. On the contrary, it can be said to be easy to understand, and one can know what it is at a glance. But the horror of time does not lie in the unknown, not in how weird it is, but in the fact that even if you know what time's ability is, you can't resist it at all. Advertisement. Chapter 427 Right Eye Pupil Technique, Jumping Time. Advertisement. For other jutsu in the ninja world, as long as the strength is not too different, as long as you understand the ability of the jutsu, you can target and restrain it. Even space-time ninjutsu is no exception. But the power of time is different. There is basically no possibility of restraint and targeting. Basically, you can only compete with absolute strength, or compete with it with the ability of the same time. With the ability of time, leapfrog challenges are no problem at all. Exactly as Mother said, your second ability is related to the future. Combined with the means you showed in the first ball space just now, the ability of your right eye should be time jumping, or the jumping time is more accurate. You can jump directly to a certain time segment in the future with the pupil technique of the right eye. So you just appeared in the first ball space, and you teleported in front of us in vain, the 3 of us were completely unaware. Because this is not a 30 space ability at all, but a direct jump to the future time period. Like now, if you have the idea of teleporting to us now, you will appear in front of us in the next second. As long as you use this ability and jump to the next second of time, then you are equivalent to ignoring space and even all barriers, and appearing in front of us out of thin air. In other words, it descended directly into the future 1 second later. Tianren, I don't know if I'm wrong. Fang Buddha knows what will happen to him. Sage of Six Paths didn't struggle anymore, and didn't run away anymore. Even the first ball space that is about to collapse is too lazy to bother. In his opinion, if the spatial turbulence caused by the collapse of the initial ball space swept them away, it would be a good end. Advertisement. At least it's better than falling into Luo Hao's hands. Completely correct. As expected of the Sage of Six Paths, the insight ability is indeed sharp. When Luo Hao heard this, a gleam flashed in his eyes. Sage of Six Paths, judgment, analysis, and final conclusion are completely consistent with the pupil technique of his right eye. His left eye is a step back in time. As Kagaya Haim said, you can turn back time for 3 seconds. So Kagaya and the others first return to the ice and snow space, and then return to the original ball space. And the pupil technique with eyes is exactly the time to jump. Just like the left eye can turn back time for 3 seconds, the time limit for his right eye jump is also 3 seconds. In other words, with the jump time, he can jump to any time segment within 3 seconds in the future as he likes. After 1 second, after 2 seconds, after 3 seconds, or after a few tenths of a second, everything is fine. Do whatever you want, completely under his control. Simply a monster. To actually master 2 such terrifying time pupil techniques at the same time. Kagaya saw Luo Hao nod generously and admitted, her face became very pale. Obviously, the horror of Luo Hao's right eye pupil technique has exceeded her expectations. Like Sage of Six Paths, she can already vaguely see what will happen to her. At this moment, she has no hope for the future. Death, maybe the best of all bad endings. Relying on the pupil technique of the left and right eyes, one to reverse time and one to jump time, as long as the gap in strength is not too large to be overcome, then he is basically invincible. Advertisement. Otsutsuki Hamura sighed sadly, not to mention that Luo Hao himself possesses an unbelievably powerful power, but the time pupil technique contained in the left and right eyes alone is enough to make people despair. Don't need such a sad expression. At least, you don't have to die. Luo Hao glanced at the collapsed first ball space layer by layer, and with the collapse of the first ball space, the space storm began to emerge and swept towards his position. I saw his left eye suddenly opened. The boundless pupil power exploded again. The original ball space that had collapsed began to recover. To be precise, it is not a recovery, but the original ball space has changed back to the state 3 seconds ago because of the time reversal. When the initial ball space returns to the time segment 3 seconds ago, Luo Hao casts back time again. Cast it 5 times in one go. Time 537 went straight back to the second before he cast that unknown sage mode. As time goes back, the situation of the first ball space also changes back to the situation 1 second before he cast Sage Mode. Phew, time is indeed an incomparably noble force. Even if my pupil technique touches the time domain, the burden is really huge. 10 times should be the ultimate for the left eye. The jump time of the right eye is estimated to be infinitely different. Once it exceeds 10 times, the reincarnation Sharingan is estimated to be closed, and it is impossible to even open the eyes in a short time. After performing time reversal several times in one breath, Chuan Hao immediately felt an unprecedented emptiness, and a sour feeling coming from his left eye. This feeling is very similar to that of a person who has Mangekyo Sharingan, every time he casts pupils. But the only difference is that no matter how much he goes back in time, the reincarnation Sharingan will not be blind. If you use it excessively, your eyes will not be able to use the pupil technique, and you will not even be able to open the reincarnation Sharingan, and it is normal to shed blood and tears. Advertisement. Chapter 428. Have you ever heard of how many floors a bag of rice carries? Advertisement. After all, the burden on the eyes and the consumption of the power of the pupils when performing the time pupil technique is too great. Even if Luo Hao eats one large and one small 2 fruits of the sacred tree, he still can't bear it, and he can't use it unscrupulously. If you want to unscrupulously use the time pupil technique of the left and right eyes, I guess at the very least, you have to eat a chakra fruit that is not inferior to the Shinigami tree. Only a chakra fruit of this quality can make the reincarnation Sharingan evolve again on the current basis. Luo Hao secretly thought, the chakra fruit produced by the Shinigami tree. It destroyed all the living beings in a soul society, and it only produced it after consuming the great emperor's spirit seed. The quality is far better than the chakra fruit eaten by Kagaya-ji. Seeing that Kagaya-ji ate the fruit of the sacred tree and just opened a reincarnation Sharingan, and he opened a pair of reincarnation Sharingan to know. Moreover, the pupil technique of his eyes has surpassed the category of time and space pupil technique, and has truly stepped into the realm of time. It is obviously not an easy task to recreate such a chakra fruit. What are you going to do with us? Just when Luo Hao Ishin was thinking about when to go to the Otsutsuki clan, and thinking about how to make the reincarnation Sharingan go further, Kagaya-ji suddenly spoke. Although she heard Luo Hao said that she would not kill her family of 3, she was still not at all happy. Because Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura just said it. If you run away, the end may be worse than death. In such a hurry, since you don't want the last few seconds of free time in your life, then I naturally don't mind giving it to you. Luo Hao put away the thoughts in his heart, and stared at Kagaya-ji 3 mouthfuls. Have you ever heard of a bag of rice against several floors, that is pen 6 paths? As soon as he said this, Kagaya-ji, Sage of 6 Paths, and Otsutsuki Hamura all changed color at the same time. Advertisement. They don't know how many floors a bag of rice carries, but they understand the last sentence. That's exactly the case. The 3 of them ignited the chakra in their bodies at the same time without any hesitation, and blew themselves up on the spot. 3 6 Paths level powerhouses blew themselves up at the same time, and the resulting chakra storm swallowed Luo Hao in an instant, and also disintegrated Nuo Da's initial ball space on the spot. What is pen 6 Paths? Of course they know. That is, after Nagato got Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan, he transformed 6 corpses into clones that he could manipulate at will. But it doesn't have independent self-awareness like the Avatar. Pain 6 Paths is essentially a corpse, and the consciousness is manipulated by Nagato. For the 3 of Kagaya-ji, although death is unwilling to accept, it is certainly terrible, and it is certainly not a good end. But being manipulated wantonly like a tool, they absolutely cannot accept it. Don't be so nervous. It's a pity that Kagaya-ji and the others died in vain. A second ago, they blew themselves up. In the next second, the starting ball space and the 3 of them returned to their original state at the same time. I don't believe you can still use the sublime ability involving time unscrupulously. Kagaya Haim, who was revived by going back in time, gritted her teeth again and wanted to blow herself up. Likewise, Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura did the same. Seeing that Luo Hao is alive, Shichiu space is also restored to its original state. The 3 of them didn't expect that self-destruction would drag Luo Hao to death together. They only hope to end everything about themselves through death, and not become Luo Hao's tools. Advertisement. Pain 6 Paths. I'm just using an analogy. Like the kind of corpse puppets that have no self-awareness and require me to work hard to control, I will not go to such a low level, and I don't bother to make the 3 of you like that. The 3 are the most powerful and most amazingly talented immortals in the ninja world for thousands of years. If you were made into corpses similar to Pain 6 Paths, how much of your abilities would you retain when you were alive? This is not what I want. Luo Hao shook his head, and before the 3 of them blew themselves up, he had already arrived in front of Kagaya-ji out of thin air. With every gesture, he blasted Kagaya-ji's body with one punch, and then inserted a black ball of light into Kagaya-ji's mind when Kagaya-ji recovered. This is the spirit ball. He wants to use this thing to control our actions and will. Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura saw this scene and subconsciously wanted to save Kagaya Haim. Be quiet. It will be your turn soon. Luo Hao flicked his fingers. Sage of 6 Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura felt as if they had been hit hard, and at the same time vomited blood and flew upside down 1,000 meters away. Before they could breathe a sigh of relief, Luo Hao had already come to Nuo Dajao, in front of them out of nowhere, and then raised his hand under the desperate eyes of the 2 and sent 2 black light balls into their minds respectively. After the three black light spheres entered the body, whether it was the Sage of Six Paths brothers who had stood up again, or Kagayaji who had recovered, they all stood in place with calm faces. Neither launched an attack on Luo Hao, nor exploded on the spot with a resolute face like before. Obviously, the ninja world has been the most powerful for thousands of years, and the three members of Kagayaji's family, which has plunged the ninja world into a war that lasted for thousands of years, are completely controlled by Luo Hao. You're wrong, Six Paths guy. Whether Pain Six Paths or Spirit Balls. This is not your home. After controlling the three of them, Luo Hao said calmly. Advertisement. Chapter 429 Reincarnation Sharingan's Copy Eye, Copy Pupil Technique. Advertisement. Pain Six Paths 2. Use the Spirit Ball to control Kagaya Heim's family of three. Neither one is what Luo Hao wants. In his opinion, not to mention that these two abilities have flaws and are easy to be broken, these two abilities alone cannot meet his requirements. What he wants is a complete Sage of Six Paths family that is indistinguishable from the present one. Not a puppet. The difference is only that he wants to gain the loyalty of Kagayaji and the other three. Others, regardless of Kagayaji's strength, potential, and talent, they can't be affected in the slightest. In this way, neither the Spirit Ball nor the Pen Six Paths manufacturing method can be achieved. The best way is distinguished heavenly gods. But with the strength of Kagayaji and the others, even if I give Uchiha Shisui the 3-God Jade Rinnegan, no, even the 6-Go or even 9-Go Jade, it will be difficult to change their thinking with distinguished heavenly gods 340. Luo Hao pondered for a moment. Pupil techniques are all based on the field that the individual is good at, combined with spirit, will, soul, and the experience and obsession when opening the eyes, and finally the corresponding pupil technique will be born. Just like him, Reincarnation Sharingan's pupil art is related to time, except that the chakra fruit from the Shinigami tree is unique, surpassing Kagayaji's chakra fruit, and it is also related to his past experience. It is related to obsession and areas of expertise. Long before his 3 battles, he had secretly studied the bed of time. Advertisement. So after he opened the golden reincarnation Sharingan, the pupils of his left and right eyes are related to time. And the same goes for Uchiha Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods. He is good at illusion, and he hopes that Ninja Village and his family can live in harmony, so he was born to change his will and change his thinking. Dad be God. Counting on Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods, it seems impossible. I'll do it myself. After thinking for a moment, Luo Hao slowly closed his eyes. When his eyes opened again, it was still the familiar golden reincarnation Sharingan. It's just that the 9 hooks in his eyes are spinning along the circle of Rinnegan. As the rotation speed of the 9 jade hooks reaches ultimate, the 9 pieces are suddenly connected into a line, forming a right-angled windmill, and a bit like a right-angled dart-shaped pattern. If there are other Konoha Shinobi fans here, they must exclaim that this is not Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. That's right. The patterns in Luo Hao's eyes are exactly the same as those of Uchiha Shisui Mangekyo Sharingan. The only difference is that his eyes have both Uchiha Shisui Mangekyo Sharingan's pattern and Rinnegan's circles of golden ripples. Apparently, while his reincarnation Sharingan retains the characteristics of the golden Rinnegan, the 9 hook jades are combined to form the pattern of Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. Distinguished heavenly gods. Luo Hao's eyes fell on Kagayaji. Reincarnation Sharingan's pupil power, plus Kagayaji is controlled by the spirit ball at this time, although Luo Hao already feels Kagayaji's spiritual will is frantically resisting. Advertisement. But the difference in pupil power between the two sides, the difference in strength, coupled with the support of the spirit ball, Kagayaji's spiritual will collapsed in front of his pupil power, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that the army was defeated like a mountain. In just a short moment, Kagayaji's white eyes and the blood-red Samsara Sharingan on his forehead have changed. The pattern of her 3 eyes became the same as Luo Hao's reincarnation Sharingan. Meet Tenon. When Luo Hao withdrew her gaze, and reached out to take out the black spirit ball from Kagayaji's mind, her body trembled a bit, then she looked at Luo Hao with hot eyes, and then said respectfully. This scene tells Luo Hao that her thinking has been rewritten. The potential of this pair of eyes seems to be greater than I imagined. Not only has the exclusive pupil technique involved in the field of time, but also has the ability to simulate and copy other Sharingan and Rinnegan pupil techniques. Maybe, if we continue to develop, there may be more unexpected surprises. Luo Hao saw that Kagayaji was loyal to him, and he was even more satisfied with his pair of golden reincarnation Sharingan. Since no one in the ninja world has ever opened a pair of golden reincarnation Sharingan, he does not have any previous experience in the development and use of the eyes to learn from, and everything depends on his personal exploration. The ability to copy the pupil technique of other Sharingan and Rinnegan was also developed by him in the past few days. It is also true that he found that the ability of his golden reincarnation Sharingan far exceeded expectations. Other Sharingans only have the ability to copy, but what they copy is the basic ninjutsu of yin-yang and 5 elements, not even secret techniques, let alone blood succession, or even the more mysterious pupil technique. But his reincarnation Sharingan's ability to copy eyes is extremely pervert. No matter it is yin-yang and 5 elements, or secret technique, or blood succession, or even pupil technique, it can be copied. Distinguished heavenly gods. Seeing that the distinguished heavenly gods could control Kagayaji and rewrite her mind, Luo Hao immediately followed suit and used distinguished heavenly gods on Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura successively. Advertisement. Chapter 430 Subduing Kagayaji's Family. Advertisement. It's just that when Luo Hao cast Distinguished Heavenly Gods on the Sage of Six Paths brothers, he encountered extremely strong resistance. Even though his pupil power is better than that of the Sage of Six Paths brothers, and he has a spirit ball to help him, he still feels great resistance. As expected of brother Sage of Six Paths, it is indeed not easy to grasp the truth of chakra. Even if the pupil power and chakra are not as good as Kagaya-ji, but the spiritual will is far better than Kagaya-ji. Although in the end this obstacle was defeated under the absolute suppression of pupil power, Luo Hao still admired the will of the Sage of Six Paths brothers. If there is no spirit ball to help, and his pupil power is not so powerful, even the distinguished heavenly gods cannot shake the will of Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura. It is not unreasonable for these two brothers to seal Kagaya-ji and become the patron saint of the ninja world, protecting the ninja world from the invasion of forces from other planets for thousands of years. With this family of three, not only will the sacred tree have a guardian, but I can also learn about the secrets of the Otsutsuki family. Luo Hao looked towards Kagaya-ji. At the same time, Kagaya-ji also met his gaze. Just simply looking at each other, he entered Kagaya-ji's memory, like watching a movie, watching Kagaya-ji's life in the Otsutsuki family. The Otsutsuki family, this powerful and mysterious alien family who planted sacred trees on many planets similar to the ninja world, and then sent people to harvest them. As the mysterious veil covering the secrets of this family was lifted by him, as long as Kagaya-ji knew all the secrets about this family, they were all clearly presented before his eyes at this moment. Although Luo Hao experienced the life of Kagaya Haim in the Otsutsuki family, only a second has passed by the outside world. I see. Advertisement. The Otsutsuki family is truly extraordinary. The average life expectancy of each person is more than 1,000 years, and everyone is born with incomparable power without training. Plus 10,000 years to plant sacred trees on countless planets, harvest chakra fruits, capture and destroy countless planets, and collect unknown power systems that are different from the ninja world. Such a family is indeed terrifyingly powerful. Quote. Through Kagaya-ji's memory, he knows that Kagaya-ji is not from the same family. On the contrary, in the Otsutsuki family, Kagaya Haim is nothing but an inferior. This is why after Kagaya-ji was sent to the Earth Ninja world, facing the temptation of the chakra fruit, she finally chose to take the risk and directly monopolize the chakra fruit. Even though I know my family is terrible, but on the one hand, I am an inferior person in the family, and on the other hand, I am becoming the supreme god in the ninja world of the Earth. Naturally, there is no need to say more about how to choose. However, the strength of the Otsutsuki family is a nightmare for Kagaya-ji after all. Even after eating the fruit of the sacred tree, Kagaya-ji didn't have the slightest confidence to face the family's visitors. So she gave birth to the Sage of Six Paths, Otsutsuki Hamura, and began building an army of white Zetsu. It's a pity that although Kagaya-ji is just an inferior person in the Otsutsuki family, but for other planets, especially in the ninja world, she is definitely equivalent to a person in the sky, no less than a god. Such an existence, naturally, will not have any fetters with people in the ninja world. In her view, people in the ninja world are just the nutrients and seeds she harvested from chakra. Can't stand Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura's bond with humans. Under such circumstances, the Teru Yoruichi family, who is not good at fighting and not good at communicating, started a civil war before the Otsutsuki family arrived. It ends with Kagaya Haim being sealed. Advertisement. Kagaya Haim, who eats the fruit of the sacred tree, is nothing in front of the Otsutsuki family. But yes, the Otsutsuki family has existed for countless years, and has planted so many sacred trees and collected so many chakra fruits. Even if each fruit of the sacred tree is not as good as the fruit born from my Shinigami tree, it still won't hold up enough. Luo Hao was secretly surprised by Otsutsuki's strength. Even though he had been mentally prepared for the power of this family early on, he was still surprised after witnessing the power of the Otsutsuki family through Kagaya-ji's memory. The most important thing is that this is what Kagaya Haim, the lower class in the Otsutsuki family, knows. The hidden power of the Otsutsuki family, the unknown strength, all of which are out of reach of Kagaya Haim, an inferior person. Just like the branch house disciples of the Hyuga clan, they can't touch the core secrets of the clan at all. And the power and mystery of the Otsutsuki family are not comparable to the Hyuga family. Once the hidden power erupts, it will be easy to destroy the ninja world. Of course, whether he can be destroyed is another matter. After all, he was in existence at the top right from the start. After facing him, Kagaya would rather face the Otsutsuki clan than fight him. Things are getting more and more interesting. Counting the time, Otsutsuki Momoshiki and the others are almost here. Their status is still higher than Kagaya-ji, and they have stayed in the Otsutsuki family these years, so what they know must be higher than Kagaya-ji. Thinking of this, Luo Hao is full of expectations for the Otsutsuki Taoshi who will come to the ninja world in the future, and even has the urge to actively go to them. Advertisement. Chapter 431 Konoha Dominance, the No. 1 Ninja Village in the Ninja World. Advertisement. Ninja World. Country of Fire. On the battlefield of the Fourth Ninja World War, Namikaze Minato and others did not leave. Standing in place one by one, waiting for Luo Hao's return. As for the outcome, none of them were worried. In their view, Fourth Hokage represents invincibility. Words such as defeat, danger, and death could never appear in Luo Hao's body. Haven't you come back yet? After waiting for a long time, Luo Hao still didn't come back. Tsunade didn't worry about it, but it was a bit boring to wait. In her opinion, instead of waiting here, it would be better to go home and wash it up, and then wait for Luo Hao to come back and go out racing together. It is estimated that June 20th is coming soon. The goddess of Mao, sage of six paths, and Otsutsuki Hamura, no matter how powerful they are, even if they join forces, they will not be able to withstand the tossing of the fourth generation. Hatake Tsukumo is very patient. After all, he is not just married like Tsunade, who is still addicted to the fun of speeding cars. He even has a son. Although after getting the Tenseigan bestowed by Luo Hao, I'm considering whether to give Kakashi a younger brother so that this 55-year-old who has been called a late talent since childhood can experience the feeling of mediocrity. After all, after Hatake Tsukumo gets Tenseigan, once he has a child, even if he can't inherit Tenseigan, he can still inherit extremely powerful white eyes. If you are lucky, you can even enter Tenseigan. In this way, the so-called genius Hatake is 50-50, but in front of the younger brother who will be born in the future, he is really mediocre, an ordinary person. Compared to this, I'm a little curious about how he will deal with the family of the goddess Uno. Aunt Snake said suddenly. How else to deal with it? Their family of three is so dangerous. Advertisement. No one can deal with them except Konoha-sama. I guess it should be killed. Hatake Kakashi said. No, someone else would really do that. From my understanding of Luo Hao, it is rare for him to meet such an outstanding person as the Kagayaji family, and he is absolutely reluctant to kill them. Quote. Regarding Hatake Kakashi's statement, Aunt Snake directly vetoed it. The teacher is indeed the most talented Hokage. Uchiha Shisui agrees with Aunt Snake's statement. As long as it is a member of Konohagakure, as long as it is not a white-eyed wolf, no matter what family or origin, Luo Hao will vigorously cultivate it. Just watch him open the doors of Konoha's Forbidden Technique Library directly to the ninjas of Konohagakure. In the era of third Hokage, it would be an achievement. Penultimates such as Sannin and close disciples such as Orochimaru cannot enter and browse at will. In the end, Orochimaru browsed freely in order to enter the Forbidden Technique Library, and he could only do it after cooperating with Danzo. It is conceivable how guarded the people inside the leaves of the third Hokage tree were when the third Hokage was in power. Even a disciple like Orochimaru, and no matter what the merits are, it is difficult for Penultimate to enter Konoha Forbidden Technique Library. If Konohagakure fell into his hands, it would be no wonder that one generation is not as good as the next generation. In the age of the 12 Little Strongs, except for Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, Nuo Das Konoha, a new generation of cage-level powerhouses can't do it. Compared with the generation of talented people in the era when Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama were in power, this gap is really too big. It's just that the danger of Kagaya Hime's family is very high. They're not Konoha shinobi, Nara Shikahisa said. The teacher should have a way. Might Guy pondered for a moment. That's why I said I was curious how Luo Hao would deal with Kagayaji's family of three. Aunt Snake showed a hint of curiosity on her face. Advertisement. After listening to her words, other people are also interested. The strength of the three members of the Wei Yoruichi family, everyone has a deep understanding. 0. If all these legendary immortals join Konoha, then the pattern of the ninja world will not change in the next hundreds or even thousands of years. The Konoha family dominates. The number one ninja village in the ninja world. These two are destined and the only constant. Even if Luo Hao stops doing Hokage and passes it on to the next fifth Hokage, Konoha will still not be weakened in the slightest. Because behind Konohagakure there are four immortals. Coming. Looking forward, everyone waited patiently. And Luo Hao didn't make them curious, how long to wait. 10 minutes later, a pitch-black space portal suddenly appeared in the far space in their line of sight, and then Luo Hao walked out from Wonquan Bilyongban. And following behind him is Kagayaji, sage of six paths, and Otsutsuki Hamura, a family of three. A family of three, no one is missing. Tsunade's eyes lit up. Wrong. Their eyes changed. 4.8. Aunt Snake immediately noticed that Kagayaji, Otsutsuki Hamura, and Sage of Six Paths looked at Luo Hao differently from before. Even if they were defeated and succumbed, they couldn't immediately have the same eyes that other Konoha shinobi players looked at Luo Hao. How could these immortals who have survived for more than 1,000 years suddenly show such loyal eyes to a person? The only explanation is, Luo Hao controlled them. And they still use the ability similar to distinguished heavenly gods to change their thinking. Quote. Aunt Snake deserves to be Aunt Snake. He guessed clearly about the means and ideas of his own disciples. Advertisement. Chapter 432 The Three Immortals of Konoha Village. Advertisement. It's not just Aunt Snake who can't notice. Namikaze Minato, Hatake Tsukumo and others are not smart people. Although they don't know Luo Hao as well as Aunt Snake, they still noticed a lot of clues from the changes in the eyes of Kagayaji's family of three. Teacher, are they? Uchiha Shisui glanced at the three of Kagayaji, and asked if he had some understanding. Even the three great sacred lands have immortals, claiming to be immortals. Then our Konoha, as the number one force in the ninja world, naturally have a fairy to act as a facade. From today onwards, Kagaya Hime's family of three will be Konoha's three great immortals. The status is only below Hokage. Luo Hao introduced. The three of Kagaya and Ji are definitely rare talents, especially the Sage of Six Paths brothers, who are even more talented, unmatched by anyone in the ninja world. After winning his distinguished heavenly gods and modifying his thinking for 30 years, he is definitely the most loyal and trustworthy person. In this case, it is only natural to give the three of them extremely high status. After all, Keigayaji's family just won the distinguished heavenly gods, and they have an extra idea of being loyal to themselves, but this loyalty is not absolute. Loyalty is naturally at full value at the beginning. But if you treat them like pigs and dogs, come and go when you call them, and often let them do things that go against their heart and are very contradictory, then as time goes by, loyalty will naturally decline step by step. Little by little. Therefore, even if the three of Keigayaji won the distinguished heavenly gods, he never planned to wave them away at will. On the contrary, he treated Keigayaji's family of three like Hitaki Tsukumo and others. Giving respect, trust, and status are all necessary. Advertisement. And with the strength and background of Sage of Six Paths, Otsutsuki Hamura and Keigayaji, they are definitely worthy of this position. In this regard, Hitaki Tsukumo and others did not think there was anything wrong with it. If someone else has changed, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others are discharged from the hospital, and the objection is that someone who is not Konoha will be in a high position as soon as they come. But the background of Sage of Six Paths, plus Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others have not been discharged from the hospital, so naturally there is not even a voice of opposition. Great hand. Directly let Uno and them become the three great sages of Konohagakure. Seeing this scene, Namikaze Minato clucked his tongue secretly, but also felt completely convinced. Only Luo Hao becoming the fourth Hokage can elevate Konohagakure to such legendary heights. Even existences such as Keigayaji, Sage of Six Paths, and Otsutsuki Hamura can only come to Konohagakure as the three great sages. Changing him to Namikaze Minato as the fourth Hokage, if Luo Hao hadn't bestowed eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, it is estimated that the Nine-Tails rebellion created by Uchiha Obito back then would have tossed him until his scalp became numb, and he would have lost his entire family every minute. It is as expected. Although Aunt Snake was also admiring Luo Hao's big handwriting, she had already gotten used to Luo Hao's various amazing big handwriting over the years, so she was not as shocking as Namikaze Minato. At most, I just sighed again, the disciples I accepted back then were really awesome. One person attains the Tao, chicken and dog ascend to heaven. Because of Luo Hao, her disciple, Orochimaru not only fulfilled all her dreams and pursuits, but also has an extremely respected status in Konoha. No one else, because she is the first teacher of fourth Hokage. When fourth Hokage was still studying in the ninja school, she fell in love with her at first sight, and devoted herself to cultivating Luo Hao. That alone is enough for countless Konoha shinobi who were born as civilians to respect Aunt Snake. What secret ability do you hide? Advertisement. Even the three great immortals were subdued. Quote. Tsunade glanced at Luo Hao in surprise. As expected of a teacher, even the legendary Sage of Six Paths family was impressed by him. Might Guy and Uchiha Shisui, two disciples of Luo Hao, called 666 directly. Tell me later. Luo Hao smiled, glanced at Hitaki Tsukumo and the others, and then fixed his eyes. Everyone just felt in a trance for a while. When they came back to their senses, they found that they had returned to Konoha. And the many Konoha shinobi 237 who were transferred back to Konohagakure by Namikaze Minato just now did not disperse, but kept sitting upright and waiting for Luo Hao and others to return. Master Hokage. As soon as Luo Hao arrived, the eyes of many Konoha shinobi players including Shi Hahong suddenly lit up. Now that Luo Hao is back, the war is obviously over. Thinking of this, many Konoha shinobi fans feel a burst of excitement. Even if the fourth Hokage can lead them through such legendary battles that can be called mythical, there is no need to say anything about the structure of the ninja world. From then on, Konoha is naturally the only family. In the ninja world, I am the only one who is the only one, and it is unshakable. Especially when Yuhihong and others saw Sage of Six Paths, Otsutsuki Hamura, and Keigayaji quietly following Luo Hao, many smart ninjas had vaguely guessed what was going on. The legendary Sage of Six Paths brothers are going to join Konohagakure and become Konoha shinobi like us. Thinking of this, Yu Hahong and the others feel extremely proud while being excited. Advertisement. Chapter 433 Teacher Sarutobi, Pot King, let's go to the elderly after leaving the hospital. Advertisement. Konoha Hospital. Aunt Snake reached out and pushed away an IUC ward in front of her. It was 3 hospital beds that came into view. Third Hokage who has been seriously injured, Shimura Danzo who was hospitalized again after being cheated by Uchiha Obito, and Jiraiya who was sent back here by Aunt Snake on the eve of the outbreak of the Fourth World War. Oh, Orochimaru, why are you here? The 3 patients who shared wheel and woe were bragging and farting, recalling the past eventful years. Seeing that the door was pushed open, except for Jiraiya who was already mentally prepared, Third Hokage and Shimura Danzo, when they saw Aunt Snake's appearance, all of them were shocked. Of course I came to visit the 3 of you. Aunt Snake laughed lightly. Although her voice is a bit hoarse, but combined with her appearance and dress, there is a demeanor that will bring disaster to the country and the people with every frown and smile. As a generation of old hooligans, Third Hokage, who was no longer young, was dumbfounded. Not to mention the young and strong Jiraiya. Among the 3, the only one who can still sit still is Shimura Danzo, the Pot King who has dedicated his life to Konoha. Although he basically didn't do any good things for Konoha, whether it was during the reign of Third Hokage or after Luo Hao, the 4th Hokage, he took the blame. It is also the same, he never does good things, and he has survived until now if he has done all the bad things. Visit me. Don't forget, you sent me here with your own hands. Jiraiya resented when she talked about it. After finally being discharged from the hospital, he was just about to go out to collect materials, when he was caught and beaten by Aunt Snake. Who made you such a big person? You still don't know how to speak. How? Do you still want to prolong the hospital stay? Advertisement. Ant Snake glanced at Jiraiya, and the flash of murderous intent in her eyes frightened Jiraiya into shutting up. A good man doesn't fight a woman. Jiraiya shrank her neck, muttering to herself. Orochimaru, you didn't come here just to visit the three of us, did you? For his disciples, Third Hokage was surprisingly understanding. How could a scientific madman like Ant Snake, who spends his time in the laboratory every day, come to visit him for no reason? Of course, besides coming to visit Sarutobi-sensei, I have something else I want to show you. While talking, Ant Snake opened a hook jade Rinnegan under the shocked eyes of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. Immediately afterwards, the three of Sarutobi Hiruzen watched a rather long movie. From the beginning to the end of the Fourth Ninja World War, they all have a panoramic view of the whole process as outsiders. Kagaya Haim, Sage of Six Paths, Otsutsuki Hamura. After regaining consciousness, the three of Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at each other, looking at each other in blank dismay. At this moment, they all had an unreal feeling like waking up from a dream. Why did all the characters in the myth escape? And that method of destroying heaven and earth, the power to crack the space between every gesture. Is this real? What is even more frightening is that in the face of this family of three, their fourth Hokage Luo Hao of Konohagakure can win the battle. Doesn't this mean that Luo Hao's power has surpassed that of immortals? Thinking of this, whether it is the Pot King or Sarutobi Hiruzen, they all feel shuddering. Especially Sarutobi Hiruzen. Advertisement. He has tripped up Luo Hao a lot in the past. In fact, it is because of Luo Hao that he can survive till now because of Tsunade and Ant Snake. If Sarutobi Hiruzen wasn't the teacher of Ant Snake and Tsunade, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen tripped Luo Hao in the Third Ninja World War, he wouldn't have the chance to live to this day. I'm not showing you this to show off how good my disciple is. Instead, I want the three of you to wake up. Times have changed now. Don't use your old eyes and decadent thinking to measure the present Konoha. To put it bluntly, with the current strength of the two of you, Luo Hao doesn't even need to make a move, just send any ninja to kill your entire clan. Among other things, his disciple is also my disciple, Might Guy, who has activated the Tenseigan, and is still above me in terms of strength. With all your strength, it is no problem to distort the space with one punch, and smash the moon with one blow. Ant Snake looked at the three Sarutobi Hiruzen who were still in shock and could not recover for a long time, and said to herself. Smashing the moon, twisting space. Sarutobi Hiruzen and others just felt their mouths were full of bitterness knockins. Thinking of everything they saw in the illusion before, they all knew that Ant Snake was not joking. Now the three great immortals have joined Konoha. The ninja world has entered a unified situation. A new era has come. If three, especially you, Mr. Sarutobi, if you still dare to trip Luo Hao secretly like in the past, then even Tsunade and I can't save the face of you. Teacher Sarutobi, Elder Guo Wang, after you leave the hospital, you two should go back to take care of yourselves. While talking, Ant Snake peeled an orange for Sarutobi Hiruzen. After peeling off the skin, he took a deep look at Sarutobi Hiruzen, and walked out of the ICU without looking back. Advertisement. Chapter 434 New Boss, Saitama the Great Devil. Advertisement. As a disciple of Third Hokage, Ant Snake knows her teacher's personality too well. Too obsessed with power, he always wanted to intervene in Konoha's affairs. All day long, you are either guarding against this or that. In fact, he's the exact same character as Danzo. He doesn't really trust all the ninjas in Konoha, even one of his personal disciples. It's just that Danzo's suspicion and guard against the ninja inside Konoha are undisguised. And Sarutobi Hiruzen is benevolent on the surface, but he is strictly guarded in secret, and he is on the defensive. The means are even worse than Danzo. But after all, it is the teacher who watched him grow up and fought side by side for many years. Ant Snake naturally didn't want her teacher to continue to overreach like before, and end up being crushed to death like an insignificant ant. That's why the scene of visiting Sarutobi Hiruzen in the ICU happened just now. Three immortals. Have times changed? 957. After Sarutobi Hiruzen watched Ant Snake leave, he felt the curtain was ending in vain. Seriously, he really doesn't want to retire. I don't even imagine the old age of Uchiha Fugaku. But now, he suddenly felt a wave of discouragement. Nuo Da's Konoha is gone, and there is no need for someone like him to point fingers. Konoha has already entered a new era. And he isn't even qualified to board a ship. Fine, although the old man is old, there is no need to go back to retire completely. At least when Lord Hokage needs me, I can take the blame. Advertisement. Although Danzo was also called by Ant Snake to go back to the old age, but he is old-hearted, he will not give up just like that. The main thing is that he knows his position very well. Different from Sarutobi Hiruzen, as the king of the first generation, he can still bear the blame. As long as he can handle the pot for a day, he doesn't need to retire completely. Although in the future it is impossible to set up a root in the leaves to stir the wind and rain like before, but a little real power is still no problem. It feels like I'm the worst offender. Forget it, the new era is also good. At least there will be no more wars. Unexpectedly, Luo Hao not only found the answer, but also turned it into reality. Although this process is a bit tragic, at least the ninja world has completely entered the era of unification. Compared to Sarutobi Hiruzen and Pot King, Jiraiya is the easiest one. Although he has often sided with Sarutobi Hiruzen before, he has never opposed Luo Hao. So Ant Snake did not name him and asked him to go back to retire. In fact, he also admires Luo Hao. It's just that Sarutobi Hiruzen and Luo Hao didn't deal with each other before, and Namikaze Minato competed with Luo Hao for the position of 4th Hokage, so he, as Sarutobi Hiruzen's disciple and Namikaze Minato's teacher, naturally can only stand on the side of the two up. But when he was hospitalized last time, he had already seen through it. Even Namikaze Minato can play like a fish in water in the hands of Luo Hao, so he, as a teacher, has no reason to support Namikaze Minato to compete for Hokage. Dawing, it is also impossible to help Sarutobi Hiruzen trip Luo Hao. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was in the ICU, wanted to go home to take care of the elderly after being discharged from the hospital. Jiraiya planned to continue writing novels based on materials after being discharged from the hospital. After placing the three immortals, Luo Hao's attention was focused on Qunchao. Even the friends who were busy researching Hogyoku and planting the god tree in their respective worlds in Qunchat put down their current affairs and paid attention to Bai Adong in Qunchat. Without him, the Wanji Chat skirt, which has not had a new member for a long time, ushered in the long-lost cute new skirt. Advertisement. Luo Hao. After Cheomung, there is finally a newcomer. Seeds. I just don't know what's the origin of this Mengxin. Zhang Chulin. It's best not to be too aggressive. I don't want to be a younger brother anymore. Cheomung. As far as your three-legged cat Kung Fu is concerned, I guess you will be the younger brother to anyone who comes. Whitebeard. Laozi is preparing to fight Kaido and Big Mom, a bit short of a son. Whitebeard. If this cute new Laozi is pleasing to the eye, he will be his son. Quote. Acetus. Zhang Chulin. Mewtwo. Aizen Sosuke. For Whitebeard, who has been committed to adopting sons to make a fortune, and intends to adopt at least 1 or 2 sons in every world, all the skirt friends are powerless to complain. After all, there are really many people who eat Whitebeard. There are only 6 people in the skirt chat. 2 of them are Whitebeard's sons. One is Zhang Chulin, one is Mewtwo. Whitebeard really doesn't care if he puts away his son. Just be pleasing to the eye. Saitama. This is, what? Myriad Realms chat dress. It looks very powerful. Seeds. Come on, is this the newcomer? Aizen Sosuke. It seems that he is neither a time traveler, nor a person like Billion who knows the Hakka world. Cheomung. I just don't know how to do it. The new skirt friend entered the skirt, which immediately aroused the crowd's attention. Advertisement. Chapter 435 Saitama, right. You come out, Laozi will challenge you one-on-one. Advertisement. Whitebeard. Are you the freshman of this class? Aizen Sosuke. Report your name. Saitama. Mo Shin. Are you referring to me? Whitebeard. Nonsense, it's not about you, it's about who. Saitama. My name is not Mengxin, I am Saitama, and my interest is to be a hero. The new members stepped into their skirts, and everyone stood up to watch. It's just that Whitebeard and others didn't realize that Luo Hao, who was the administrator, and Billion Zhang Chulin, who knew a lot of things, fell silent after seeing Kyu's self-introduction. Especially when Whitebeard was aggressive and talking to Kyu like a boss reprimanding his younger brother, both Luo Hao and Billion showed expressions of looking at the dead. Just seeing newcomers habitually pretend. At the same time, he also wanted to see if Saitama could be made, and if so, Whitebeard planned to adopt him as his son. He didn't even notice that Billion, who was always talkative, became very quiet. Acetus. Hero. Aizen Sosuke. Are you the kind who do good things and do good deeds? Whitebeard. Boy, how old are you? You still dream of being a hero. Saitama. A hero is not just a dream, it is now a profession. Saitama. I will not allow anyone to blaspheme the word hero. Whitebeard. I'm not very capable, but I don't want to repay my temper. Aizen Sosuke. Mr. Saitama, how do you plan to prevent Whitebeard from blaspheming the word hero? Whitebeard. Yeah, Laozi wants to know too. Saitama. If words cannot communicate, I will use my fist to let him know what the word hero means. Acedes. This picture is a bit familiar. Aizen Sosuke. It happened once in Mewtwo. Advertisement. Cheomung. Kyu, I advise you to apologize to Dad quickly. Dad is very generous, you admit your mistake, I guarantee you are fine. Looking at Saitama, who was as tough as Whitebeard from the beginning, Cheomung seemed to see his former figure. At that time, he was also so strong-headed, and so sharp-edged. When I first entered the Wanji Chat skirt, I almost said the last sentence to all the members. Everyone here is trash. As a result, they were taught to be human one after another. After enduring a series of vicious beatings from Kuchao, his super beast can only regain a little sense of existence in Billion. It is also the reason for this unbearable past. Cheomung is very pleasing to the eyes of Saitama. At least one of them is going his way. Saitama. Apologize. Why should I apologize? Saitama. I don't care about other things, but he dares to ridicule and blaspheme the word hero. I absolutely can't pretend that I didn't see it. Whitebeard. Kid Saitama. Laozi, can you understand that you want to fight Lao Yu single-handedly? Saitama. One-on-one. I don't want to do it if I can. Acetus. Why? Aizen Sosuke. Are you afraid of being beaten? Whitebeard. Counseled. Kyu. No, I'm afraid I accidentally beat you to death. Saitama. I'm a hero, not a murderer. Normally, my fists will only be thrown at weird people. Although Saitama explained it very clearly and thought he didn't mean any offense, but Whitebeard was upset after hearing it. No way. Advertisement. The last time Mengxin Cheomeng entered the skirt was arrogant enough. But from Whitebeard's point of view, Cheomeng is not as arrogant as Saitama now. 0 for flowers. It's okay to be so arrogant, but he dared to pretend in front of him when he came in. What else did you say that you were afraid of accidentally killing yourself? How can the strongest man in the world accept this? Acedes. There's something new about this cuteness. Aizen Sosuke. It seems that he is also a first-class pretender. Cheomeng. Those who can enter the skirt chat really have 2 brushes in the skill of pretending, but pretending in front of the old man, is this really good? Whitebeard. Afraid you accidentally beat Lousy to death. Whitebeard. Okay, Lousy wants to see how you accidentally beat Lousy to death. Whitebeard. Saitama, right. Come out, Lousy will fight you one-on-one. Saitama. Are you sure? As long as you don't make fun of heroes in the future, I can pretend nothing happened. Kyu. If I really want to hit you, I'm really afraid I'll kill you. Acedes. It's hard enough to pretend. Cheomeng. Kyu, originally I thought you were a talent and wanted to save your life, but now it seems that I can't save you either. Aizen Sosuke. It seems that the newcomers of these 2 years have a common problem. The boss is the second oldest and he is the third. Whitebeard. Stop talking nonsense. If you can really kill Lousy, then Lousy will admire your ability. Saitama. Are you sure you really want to fight me? Whitebeard. Is this still fake? Just because you dare to pretend so much in front of Lousy, Lousy can't tolerate you continuing to pretend. Whitebeard. Boy Luo, arrange the ring immediately, Lousy will not record the video this time. Whitebeard. Lousy will go on stage to teach this cute new guy named Saitama how to be a loser. Advertisement. Chapter 436 Pretend sincerity is precious, life is more expensive. Advertisement. Seeing that Whitebeard is so determined, so superior, insisting on teaching Saitama to be a man, he and Billion have been silent all the time, watching Whitebeard pretend that wave may be the last push in his life. Luo Hao finally speaks inflamed. Luo Hao. Whitebeard, are you sure you are here for real? Whitebeard. Any questions? Whitebeard. This new Mengxin is so arrogant, even worse than the original Xiao Qiao. Whitebeard. Isn't it what I, a skirt friend, should do to teach this kind of cutie how to behave? Zhang Chulin. Father, I personally don't think you are calm. 060, Whitebeard. Calm down UA. Are you Lousy's son, or his son? Zhang Chulin. If possible, I would like to be his son, but I am worried that others will not accept me. Whitebeard. What? Zhang Chulin. No, I didn't say anything. Zhang Chulin. It's just that I personally suggest that you should think about it clearly, Dad. After all, pretending is precious, and the price of life is even higher. Zhang Chulin. For a pretend, it's not good to lose your life. Hearing Billion's direct words, Whitebeard, who was a bit smart, suddenly woke up. Obviously, Zhang Chulin not only knows this cute new guy named Kyu, but even acts like he wants to be his son. First Master Hokage, followed by Chu Lan. It seems that this Mo Xin named Saitama, is not necessarily Mo Xin. Advertisement. Does he have incomparable strength, or his world is not simple, and he has an extraordinary background in his own world? Hero. He values the title of hero, or the profession so much, so there should be a large number of people who take heroes as their profession in the world he lives in. In the world of Shinigami, Aizen Sosuke sat on the throne of Zai Palace, propping his chin with one hand, thinking secretly. Just now Luo Hao and Bai Lian were rare and quiet, as if they were watching the excitement. Coupled with what he said later, it all shows that this newcomer named Saitama, who looks a bit stupid, has a difficult background. Cheomeng, it seems that Saitama is the one who pretends to be a pig and eats a tiger. In the imperial capital of the world of Crimson Eyes, Acedes looked at Mewtwo who was researching Hogyoku. Since they decided to jointly study Hogyoku and the Sacred Tree, Acedes directly abolished the emperor, ministers, and directly ruled the entire empire. And having learned multiple shadow clone techniques, she is not afraid that she will not be able to take care of the affairs of an empire. Relying on its own absolute strength and its reputation among the common people of the empire, Acedes quickly stabilized the capital of the empire and radiated it out at a frightening speed. In less than a month, the revolutionary army was wiped out by her alone. Even the organization of the revolutionary army was directly destroyed by her. Only a few people received the news in advance and fled. Now the revolutionary army that cuts the world of red pupils is not enough. All external troubles and internal troubles have been quelled, and she forcibly suppressed and subdued the members of the night raid hidden in the imperial capital that had a hostile relationship with her in the past. The assassins such as Chitong saw the absolute strength of Acedes, and after she took power, she wiped out all kinds of corruption and darkness in the empire. In addition, the revolutionary army was destroyed, and they gradually defected to Acedes' command. Advertisement. With a huge and stable empire, there is no shortage of talents, materials and resources in all aspects, which are continuously used by the empire's Mewtwo research Hogyoku and the Sacred Tree. In order to assist Cheomeng, Acedes is still recruiting scientific research talents in the empire, and even outside the empire. Not long ago, he even personally went to the west, beat the western countries famous for alchemy, and took away a large number of people the top master of alchemy. 0. All of these people were put into the Imperial Research Institute by Acedes for the use of Mewtwo. Father is afraid that this wave is going to stumble. Although generally speaking, the longer the time in the skirt chat, the stronger the strength of the members will be, but some people from powerful worlds, even just entering the skirt, may have the strength to surpass the old skirt friends. This Saitama is most likely such a person. Chaomeng shook his head. For Saitama, he still has a good look at him. Without him, he was so crazy when he entered the skirt back then. It's a pity that in the end, Naihe's strength was not as good as others, and he was forced to rub against the ground by a group of skirt friends. In the end, he escaped by recognizing Whitebeard as his father. 3.5 What I couldn't do back then, now seeing Chi it was possible for you to do it, and of course he was secretly delighted. After all, Whitebeard was one of the people who pinned him to the ground and rubbed him. Whitebeard is deflated, you seem to be quite happy. Acetus glanced at Mewtwo. Not happy. But since Dad is so great, he took the initiative to help us find out the bottom of this Saitama, then I, a son, have no reason to object. Chaomeng said so, but the corner of his mouth raised a playful look. Advertisement. Chapter 437 Dad, have a good journey. Advertisement. Father, why did your face suddenly become so ugly? On the Moby DK, Margot saw Whitebeard was in high spirits 1 second before, holding Kong Yunchi as if ready to go to war, but his expression changed drastically in the next second, and even the majestic body shook on the spot, directly sat down on the ground. This appearance frightened Margaret. You know, when Whitebeard was old and frail, he was never as weak as he is now. Why is it that Whitebeard, who has regained his youth and is still getting stronger day by day, suddenly can't even stand steadily? Fine, your father and I are the strongest man in the world, what can happen? Whitebeard clapped his hands with mock relief. It's just that he was a little flustered holding Kong Yunchi's hand. At this moment, his mind was more tangled than ever before. One side is just a wave. On the one hand, it is cowardly. But as the most powerful man in the world, he is the one who sits firmly in the third place in the skirt chat. 30 If he is ridden on the head by a cute newcomer, how can he hang around in the skirt chat in the future? DJJ. Losing is trivial. After all, the world is so big, there must be someone stronger than him. But now he is really panicking. Saitama's sentence, I'm afraid I'll beat you to death if you don't mind, is probably not a pretend. It is very likely that this guy is as cruel as Luo Hao. He searched all over his own world, even other worlds, but couldn't find anyone who could take his punch. Only such a big devil would say something that he was afraid of accidentally killing someone. This guy's strength won't catch up to Boy Luo's pervert, right? Advertisement. Oops, I'm very angry recently. It must be the reason why Hogyoku's and Shenshu's research projects are progressing slowly. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have ridiculed Mengxin. Are all newcomers this fierce? Thinking of this, Whitebeard became more and more panicked. He doesn't have Hogyoku, he doesn't have the super regeneration ability of Aizen Sosuke. Moreover, even Aizen Sosuke was hammered to death twice by Luo Hao. While Whitebeard was gloomy and pondering whether to confess, Saitama got angry again in the skirt chat. Saitama. Why don't you talk? Saitama. Didn't you tell me to come out for a one-on-one fight? I was waiting for it. Whitebeard. Damn it, I really think Lousy is afraid that you won't succeed. Whitebeard. Let me tell you, Saitama kid, Lousy is the strongest man in the world, very fierce. Saitama. The strongest man in the world. Great, then you can definitely take a punch from me. Seeing what Saitama said, Whitebeard lost half of the fighting spirit aroused by Saitama just now, and even his heart began to turn cold. This way of speaking, the tone is too familiar. It looks exactly like the administrator Luo Hao. Luo Hao. Whitebeard, don't be cowardly, just now. Zhang Chulin. Father, I like you. Zhang Chulin. By the way, when I saw Teacher Qiu just now, I was too excited, so I forgot to introduce you. Whitebeard. Introduce what? Zhang Chulin. Teacher Qiu, nicknamed One Punch Man, the meaning is easy to understand, that is, basically any opponent can't catch his punch. 88. 83. Seeds. Advertisement. Aizen Sosuke. Chaomeng. Father, have a good journey. Whitebeard, who was sitting upright on the Moby DK, was silent for a few seconds, and then said to Margot that he wanted to be alone, and then quietly ran to the stern with a jug of wine. Sin. One Punch Man. No one ever took a punch from him. Didn't Lousy die with one punch? Whitebeard clutched his chest, a regretful expression on his face. It is possible to change the name of One Punch Man, and Luo Hao and Billion, two people who know Kitama well, seem to agree with Saitama's nickname very much. This exists. Can you not be fierce? When he thought that he had offered to send his head to Saitama for him to hammer, he felt extremely regretful. Unfortunately, this forced him to pretend to go out. Even if you are crying, you still have to pretend at 140. Otherwise, Whitebeard will really have no face in the skirt chat, let alone accept his son in the skirt chat, and other worlds in the future. It seems, Lousy has to choose a successor in advance before leaving. Fortunately, after Lousy is punched to death, the Whitebeard pirates will not become a mess. After Whitebeard drank alone at the stern for a while, he called Yijigu an ace, and directly stated that they were the young masters of the Whitebeard pirates. If anything happens to him, the Whitebeard pirates will honor them both. Facing Whitebeard's confession, Ace and Yijigu looked at each other, but they also actively asked him if he was in any trouble, and they could help. But the face-saving Whitebeard doesn't want his son to know about his counseling. I don't even want to be known by my son, he will immediately become the first skirt chat member to be knocked out with a punch. After explaining his affairs and deciding who will inherit the inheritance, Whitebeard opened the skirt again and chatted. Advertisement. Chapter 438 Time to hit the road. The strongest man in the world. Advertisement. Just when Whitebeard was so angry that he almost exploded on the spot, he just opened the skirt to chat and saw Saitama's inflammation. Although these inflammations are a sign of Saitama's generosity in the eyes of Luo Hao and Billion, they are not in the eyes of Whitebeard. Hugh. Aren't you cowardly? Saitama. If you don't want to fight, it's okay, as long as you apologize to me and promise not to blaspheme the word hero in the future, I can pretend nothing happened. Whitebeard. Hit. Why not? Whitebeard. Boy Luo, come out and put on the ring. Lousy doesn't teach him how to be a man today, he doesn't even know what it means to be the strongest man in the world. Luo Hao. Are you sure? This will die on the street. Zhang Chulin. Father, calm down. Once you start fighting, you will become the first member to die in the internal competition of skirt chat. Whitebeard. Who will win, don't you know? Whitebeard. Even if he dies, Lousy must let him know what courage is. Luo Hao. Well, since you are so persistent. Luo Hao, who was originally sitting in Hokage's office, activated the authority of the administrator and directly forcibly traveled to the world of pirates where Whitebeard was. As the posthumous affairs and inheritance all arranged. Luo Hao came to the long-lost Moby DK, and the first thing he said when he saw Whitebeard was to ask about the inheritance rights of the inheritance. That, boy Luo, since there are not many people now, only Lousy and you, can you answer me a few questions honestly? Whitebeard looked left and right for a while, and after finding that no one noticed him, he asked Luo Hao cautiously. Just ask. You're going to die anyway. Not letting you die in a daze is the only thing I can do for you. Luo Hao recalled all the acquaintances with Whitebeard when he first entered the skirt chat. Although, he's been the one for Whitebeard all along. For example, I traded a tube of Hashirama cells for Whitebeard's shock fruit at first, but it's been a long time buddy anyway. Seeing that Whitebeard was about to jump into the coffin, and maybe he would never see him again, Luo Hao showed kindness rarely, and fulfilled Whitebeard's last request before he died. No way. Advertisement. Are you sure Lousy will really die? Whitebeard paled. Even Luo Hao said so, it doesn't mean that with his current strength, he really can't even struggle against Saitama. 100 members will die. There are no surprises to speak of. Luo Hao said firmly. What a joke. Facing Saitama the great demon king, and still facing it as an opponent, as an enemy, and desecrating almost the only hero Saitama cares about. Whitebeard insisted on being tough, he really couldn't think of any reason for Whitebeard to survive from Saitama. Don't look at Kyu as if he doesn't care about anything, and he is very tolerant. But that didn't touch his bottom line. After becoming stronger and bald, it is unfortunate that one of the things that Saitama cares about is the hero. Next is baldness. Faced with this situation, it's no wonder that Whitebeard didn't die. Is that kid named Saitama really that strong? Are you not even his opponent? Whitebeard said with difficulty. Whether I am his opponent, this will be revealed next time. But you are definitely not his opponent. Luo Hao said. Can't you give me a little hope? Could it be that you gave him a high opinion? Whitebeard's voice trembled a little. You've been to other worlds. Do you know the normal distance between the Earth and the Moon? Luo Hao said. Advertisement. I know. What does it matter? Whitebeard looked at Luo Hao puzzled. Saitama was blasted from the surface of the Earth to the surface of the Moon with a punch, but he was not injured. Immediately afterwards, relying only on the strength of his body, he adjusted from the surface of the Moon and returned to the Earth with incomparable precision. Can you do it? Luo Hao glanced at Whitebeard, as if looking at a dead person. That's true. Whitebeard can see once is once. Hunchat will be downsizing soon. By then Whitebeard will be history. If I want to see him in the future, I guess I can only use Impure World reincarnation. As for why not the Rinne Tensai technique, that depends on Whitebeard's savvy. Damn it. This damn pervert. Whitebeard turned pale. Are you done with all the questions? Now that the question is over, Qian Nuohao, you don't have to be a fool. It's time to hit the road, the strongest man in the world. Luo Hao looked at the world's strongest man whose feet were a little weak, and a smile flashed in his eyes. No way. You and Aizen wouldn't die so badly alone. Who made you choose the Saitama Great Demon King tool? It is good. Whitebeard tried his best to pretend to be fearless, relying on his bravery of crossing the sea for many years, then he raised his trembling legs and tremblingly followed Luo Hao into the portal of the One Punch Man world. Which one of you is going to challenge me one-on-one? Hugh watched Luo Hao and Whitebeard come out of the teleporter that suddenly appeared at his door, and asked immediately. Advertisement. Chapter 439 Since you are so persistent, I will kill you first. Advertisement. Luo Hao pointed at Whitebeard, and quickly stood aside. Then you are. Hugh looked at Luo Hao suspiciously. He's been in the skirt for a short time. He had just joined Kyun, and was taught to be a man by Raihuzi before he understood what Kyun was talking about. I really don't know anything about the administrators. I am the administrator of the Wanji chat dress. Your world should have similar chat software, right? You can understand that besides being a member of QNChat, I am also the person who manages all members of QNChat. The difference with you is that there are some more permissions that belong to the administrator. For example, I can forcefully travel to the world where other skirt friends live, and force a certain skirt friend to be kicked out of the skirt chat. Luo Hao explained briefly. Seems very amazing. Then you must be able to receive a 353 punch from me. Hughes' eyes lit up. The moment Whitebeard appeared, he felt that he was a rare strong man. Stronger than any dragon monster. As an administrator who can observe many people like Whitebeard, or even stronger than Whitebeard, his strength must be far higher than that of Whitebeard. And when he saw Luo Hao, Hugh also felt the blood in his body be inexplicably agitated, as if he had a long-lost excitement. I think it should be fine. After all, I have the same troubles as you. I've been looking everywhere for years for someone to take my punch. Luo Hao nodded. He can understand Saitama. Advertisement. Because that's what he is. Both of them just wanted someone to punch them very purely. They no longer expect to find someone who can fight with them, and they are already very satisfied to find someone who can take a punch job. But Luo Hao is better than Saitama. In the past, Saitama could only stay on the earth, trapped in the world under one person. I don't know the blessings outside the earth, outside the world. As for Luo Hao, he entered the Wanji chat skirt, knowing that there are many powerful people who can destroy the world in the Wanji. As long as you wait patiently, you will meet these people sooner or later. Just like now, Luo Hao waited until a one-punch man like Saitama entered the skirt. It will be much more interesting to live in the skirt chat in the future. Thinking of having a big devil to accompany him in the fight in the future, Luo Hao couldn't help but raise a slightly excited smile. That's great. I've been looking for someone like this too. I can feel that you are the one I've been looking for. Saitama immediately put Whitebeard aside and chatted with Luo Hao very enthusiastically. No way. Everyone is One Punch Man. Everyone's 3 views are so consistent. As for Whitebeard, forget it, the great devil Saitama never took him to heart. In his eyes, Whitebeard is no different from those weirdos he killed with one punch in the past. The difference between a later spike and an earlier spike is nothing more than punching earlier and punching later. Under such circumstances, how could he pay attention to Whitebeard? If it wasn't for the wrong time, Saitama would even want to join hands with Luo Hao right now. Just because the blood in his body was agitated the moment he saw Luo Hao, Saitama could be sure that the man in front of him is someone who can take his punch very firmly. Advertisement. Same. This feeling also came to Luo Hao after meeting Saitama. The one-punch man Saitama in front of me is also someone who can receive his own punch. As for the match between the Hokage version of One Punch Man and Saitama the Great Demon King, the One Punch Man, who can keep the name of One Punch Man, and who is the veritable One Punch Man will only be known after fighting. Quote exclamation mark. Be less defiant there. I don't care what One Punch Man you are, and I don't care what Saitama sensei you are. Your current opponent is lousy. Lousy didn't die for a day, you can't ignore lousy. Faced with Saitama's complete ignorance, he chatted directly with Luo Hao without saying a word, but put himself aside. Whitebeard finally broke out. A scholar can be killed, but not humiliated. Even if he, Whitebeard, is someone who can be instantly killed with a single punch, he still needs to be instantly killed with dignity. Okay, since you are so persistent, I will kill you first, and then talk to the administrator. Saitama frowned slightly, then shrugged indifferently. Change your place. Although no one lives here, if there is a fight, you don't want to lose your home, do you? Although Luo Hao came to the world of One Punch Man for the first time, he is very familiar with it. Not to mention that he himself understands this world. Just after he came here and let go of his perception, he is already very familiar with it. Saitama nodded in agreement. Although Whitebeard is weak in his eyes, he is almost invincible to other heroes in this world. Once it breaks out, it will inevitably cause huge turmoil. At least destroying your own home is not a problem at all. Come here. Luo Hao's eyes flashed with gold. The 3 of them have come from the world of One Punch Man to the first ball space in Yuzhong. Advertisement. Chapter 440. Do you really need to be so cruel? Advertisement. Wow. That's amazing. I don't think I've been here before. Saitama's eyes widened. Although there are superpowers and other abilities in this world. However, superpowers are mostly similar to spiritual aspects, such as telekinetic flow. Abilities like space and time are extremely rare. You speak well. This is no longer the earth you live on. It's one of the 6 spaces in the Imperial Palace that I have mastered. Here you can shoot unscrupulously, even if you blow up the entire space, it doesn't matter. I can fix this up again. Luo Hao said, shooting recklessly. Whitebeard looked at Luo Hao strangely. Do you really want to die yourself, kid? This Saitama typically kills his own master with one punch, and you let him strike unscrupulously. And, what's the matter with this initial ball space? Why do I feel like you picked out a tomb for lousy early in the morning? Shooting recklessly. It seems that there is really no one here. Quote. Saitama heard the words, and it was bright. How powerful he is, but even he himself doesn't know it. But he still knows one thing. That is, he must not make unscrupulous shots in the earth, otherwise the earth will be tossed away by him all at once. But changing the starting ball space is different. Luo Hao said it all, even if the whole space is broken, it doesn't matter. Thinking of this, Saitama was eager to try. Advertisement. He's not jumping for Whitebeard, but for the space. In his opinion, even if Whitebeard is vulnerable, at least he can punch a little bit in this space and do some warm-up exercises before leaving. Boom. Thinking of this, Kyu stretched out his right hand, and then shook his 5 fingers violently. Click. With his palm as the center, the surrounding space began to collapse, and the collapsed space became bigger and bigger. In the end, the Shichiu space was actually created a black as ink and huge black hole in the space between his palms. FK. Seeing this scene, Whitebeard felt his scalp go numb. Why do you need to be so cruel? Just a light fisting motion with 5 fingers actually crushed the space, creating such a big black hole in space. Just when Whitebeard was frightened, and if it wasn't for his amazing courage, even tears and nose flowed out, the skirt chat had already exploded. Billion. Boss Luo, start the live broadcast. Aizen Sosuke. I want to see what kind of a man you can call One Punch Man. Acetus. Go live. Luo how? Aren't you going to come and see for yourself? Mewtwo. Forget it, Master Hokage. Cheomung. If the great demon King Saitama is really that scary, we might not even have the qualifications to watch the battle. Zhang Chulin. Don't look for me, I'll just watch the live broadcast at home. Just when Whitebeard was on the road, Acetus and others had learned about the horror of One Punch Man Saitama from Billion. In this case, although they are jealous, they will never be stupid to watch the battle. After all, the aftermath of the battle between Luo Hao and Yamamoto Genryu Sai was unbearable for them. And the Saitama Great Demon King is far more terrifying than Yamamoto Genryu Sai, and even the Spirit King. Going to watch the battle, it is estimated that just the fist wind will kill them. Administrator Luo Hao initiates a live video broadcast. 0 for flowers. 0. As Luo Hao turned on the live broadcast, the image of the Saitama Great Demon King clenching his fist lightly and crushing the space was immediately clearly presented in everyone's sight. Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Damn it. You deserve to be One Punch Man. Acedes. Shattered space with one punch. Yusuke. The quantity is truly terrifying. Cheomung. Master Hokage, is this caused by Saitama? Luo Hao. Well, he made a 5-finger fist movement, maybe he was too hard when he made the fist, and accidentally smashed the space. Zhang Chulin. 0. Acetus. Aizen Sosuke. Mewtwo. No matter how hard they thought about it, they didn't think of the collapse of the space. The collapse was actually caused by this reason. Even Zhang Chulin, who had known the strength of Q the Great Demon King for a long time, could not have expected it. Zhang Chulin. Father, let's go all the way. Cheomung. Every tomb sweeping day, I will go to this Shichiu space to worship you. Acedes. A fight where you can't catch a single punch. Aizen Sosuke. No more, Whitebeard. After hearing Luo Hao explain that the collapse of the space was actually caused by the fist of Saitama, they have already seen Whitebeard Yokodo on the spot. There's no need to fight at all. It's a massacre. No, it's a battle of instant kills. It seems to be too hard. Chi Yu stared blankly at Luo Hao. That look was as innocent as it could be. Fine. Space has the ability to heal itself. It will be fixed in no time. Even if you completely destroy the space, I can fix it. Quote. Luo Hao shrugged indifferently. Advertisement.